Order. My man, you feel like giving an invocation? Damon. Yeah, I'm looking at you.
I think Mr. Abbott got nervous.
Mr. Abbott.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for this day, for this moment in time. We thank you, Father, for this meeting tonight. Thank you for this board. Thank you for the citizens that are here, the media that are here. Thank you that we are still living in a free land. Let us be mindful of your will and mindful of your way. We thank you. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. If we could now rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you all for that.
All right.
Is there any amendments to the agenda? If not, I need a motion to approve, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right, can we get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Tonight's agenda is approved.
Mr. Chairman, we'll get these minutes caught up. We've just been fooling with budget items, and I appreciate y'all's patience with that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Adoption of the amended rules of procedure. At Tuesday night's work session, there was some discussion about some possible changes to the rules of procedure. Mainly observed from citizens' outrage of the way some previous people have approached to express themselves. Board members, y'all have the current wording, and there was the discussion the other night. I'd like to bring to your attention a potential change in what was discussed the other night by simply revising the words to when any person, including board members, speak to the board, he shall address the chair and shall confine himself strictly to the items on the night's agenda or the agenda from last month's regular monthly meeting. Now, I know you have those.
Yes, I do.
All right.
These.
All right.
I can read them.
Okay.
This is section 5-5, prohibited conduct. Persons appearing before the board will not be allowed to A, campaign for public office, B, promote private business ventures, C, use profanity or vulgar language or gestures, D, use language which insults or demeans any person or which, when directed at a public official or employee, is not related to his or her official duties. However, citizens have the right to comment on the performance, conduct, and qualifications of public figures. E, make non-germane or frivolous statements. F, interrupt other speakers or engage in behavior that disrupts the meeting, including but not limited to applause, cheers, jeers, etc. G, engage in behavior that intimidates others. H, address the board on issues that do not concern the services, policies, or affairs of the county.
All right, and that is what we had discussed Tuesday night. Some of the concerns that I had after reviewing this, but let's see. We're here to conduct a business for the citizens of the county. That's what we're here to do. All the other stuff, the ugliness and stuff like that, it happens everywhere. It's unfortunate. But at the end of the day, we're talking freedom of speech. Now, we talked briefly Tuesday night, Ms. Norton, about the folks that when you visited VACO, that some other counties had adopted that. You had some conversations with them.
It was about 8 different counties that they have addressed the issue in the same manner. They have adopted the rules of procedure as we are looking to review and amend. And they have passed this by their attorneys, and it is all legal.
All right. Well, all right. So, board members, what I'm suggestion and, open for conversation here is the revised wording on this. I don't know that we can legally control anybody's gesture or language. I think you're looking at a First Amendment issue. As grotesque as it may be, I think if someone sat out there and called us all POSs for raising the taxes, I don't know that there's anything we can do about that. But at the end of the day, what this meeting is for is the items that are on the agenda and the items that we took action on at the last month's agenda. So I think we're well within our right that if someone wants to come up here, and at the end of the day, this is what this is about. Last month was about beating up on me. The next round is about coming at me again about an incident in 2016. I got in a fight. I'll tell you all, I got in a fight in 2016. Both parties were charged, and the court dismissed it. It happens. Okay? And they wanted to talk about my censure. Well, I think that was well covered by that gentleman over there. Thank you, Ms. Cole. No pun intended, sir. And sometimes we beat up on the media too much. It happened. He reports it. That's it. That's what he does. So it's nothing nefarious about it. But at the end of the day, there is a few that wish to beat up on the electeds because they want somebody weaker here that they can control to do their bidding. That's what this is about. Y'all know for a fact that there is a $2 million road in question in a subdivision, and I will never stand by and let that be put on the taxpayers in Nottoway County. I mean, never. If somebody wants to build a subdivision, that's what it is. You have to go in there and put that road in. The taxpayers ain't gonna pay for that. So, and I'll say it before, I've said it before, my past is my past. I don't live there anymore. I know that there's one in the audience tonight that has taken a shot at Mr. Ingram, talking about he won't talk to women. I'm sure somebody's going to take a shot at Mr. Collins at some point. Someone mentioned some disparaging comments about Bo. Everybody's in there got a history. You know what? We're elected from this county. We know each other. We hung out and had parties. If everybody knew what everybody in this room has done, it would be a shameful day, wouldn't it? So, but nonetheless, that's just my feelings on this. Where are y'all at?
I would like to add that we need to hold ourselves accountable as well. Civility and decorum. Sometimes your temper gets high, but we need to hold our own selves accountable as well in this line. Do you agree?
I do.
Mr. Chairman, that being said, I move that we adopt these amendments to the rules of procedure.
All right. Is this the one that, so we can formally read this into a motion?
Right. I'll read it.
Okay.
Revised wording. I move to amend Section 5-4 of the Rules of Procedure to read as follows. Purpose of the delegation from the public period at each regular meeting is to give all Nottoway County citizens an opportunity to appear before the board to voice their opinions on matters of concern to them over which the board has influence. When any person, including board members, speaks to the board, he or she shall address the chair and shall confine themselves strictly to the items on that night's agenda or the agenda from the last month's regular monthly meeting. This period should not be used to request specific board action at that meeting. If board action is indicated as a result of information provided during this period, the matter should be placed on the agenda for a future board meeting. And that was the change that we made.
And you put that in the form of a motion to
Yes,
formally
sir,
adopt this into the,
I move we adopt those amendments to the rules of procedure.
is that effective immediately in your motion?
I guess I need a second.
Okay. No, I'm saying is that effective immediately?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's what we're doing it for, yes,
All
right
right.
now.
Well, y'all have heard the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Yes, sir. All right. Going on to delegations from the public. Oh, is this Sprath? Michelle Sprath? Spruth, okay. Michelle Spruth.
Good evening.
Good evening. Oh, if I could remind y'all, excuse me 1 second. A lot of times at home, people say they can't hear folks talking in that microphone. If y'all don't mind, when you come up, just take a second to get it close to you so everybody can hear you at home as well. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sounds like it's working. Good evening, distinguished board members. Thank you for your service to the county and the opportunity to present to you tonight. My name is Michelle Spruce. Although I'm not from Nottoway County, I have spoken to the county residents, and I really do appreciate the beauty of this county, the land and its residents. I'm a civil engineer and a project manager with over 28 years of experience in the development of projects including solid waste, utilities, and renewables, projects across the U.S. and actually in Europe. I have worked extensively with local communities and residents to develop projects for the benefit of host communities. The approach to a local community, this approach enables communities' inputs to ultimately leads to the best project. I am currently project manager for a proposed solar project at Ampliform with our landowner partner, Mr. Dennis Tatum, through a lease arrangement for the development of the Rocky Ford Solar Project. Currently in the state of Virginia, 23% of the counties have an effective ban on solar projects through local ordinances and plan amendments. We are sorry that Nottoway is following the same path with the current draft ordinance. To provide context to the board, 40 acres under panel and the various setbacks proposed without technical justification will prohibit the development of solar in the county.
Ms. Sprath, I'll let you recover your time here. And forgive me, this is new, it just happened. So for a point of order here, what she's talking about solar, there's nothing on the agenda.
But I do have some data on tax revenue,
Okay.
which this is just a preamble,
Okay.
and I'll go through it. I just was looking to provide data.
I'm sorry, I mean, does the board agree? Okay. All right, I mean, I understand nobody was aware of this change prior to tonight, so.
The prior agenda, we learned that the planning had approved the solar.
That's correct.
That's correct. All right, continue on.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
guys. Appreciate y'all. That's what I was trying to remember. Okay. Yes, please continue where you were.
Okay, thank you. Okay, to provide context to the board, 40 acres under panel and the various setbacks proposed without technical justification will prohibit solar projects development in the county. The Virginia State has several drafts, SB 206, HB 636, HB 567, and SB 697, which is the state's efforts to prohibit such bans. I would like to note that as noted above, that I have extensive experience in the solid waste industry. That industry also had bans in prohibiting development of facilities. I can attest to that and to my experience that bans do not work. They do not work for the residents and the host communities. The only person that they do work for in the industry are lawyers. It is important for Nottoway County to take a collaborative approach in the development of solar projects for the benefit of all residents. There are current safeguards within the permitting and regulatory process to ensure that input is received on economic development, design, operation, and/or decline any development of any project. I do understand that the residents of Nottoway County have hurt feelings from previous developments. These lessons are valuable and can be applied to any future projects. As the board reviews and considers the draft solar ordinance, I would like the board to consider that the state of Virginia is a net importer of approximately 4 gigawatts of electricity from the PJM transmission system. Energy security will be extremely important to Nottoway County. Extreme weather events are and will affect the grid distribution of supply and demand. Local generation will enable Nottoway County and its residents to weather these storm events. In addition, local generation will provide the needed generation for future projects, including potential data centers. Our project would provide $3.5 million and upgrade in the interconnection system. You may appreciate the current PJMQ for projects is approximately 5 years, from initial submission to completion. Property rights, keeping farming land in farming hands. Farmers and landowners will benefit from a regular revenue stream. Agrivoltaics, which use crop, grazing, and pollination habitats and conservation, used alongside solar projects, will enable farmers to receive a dual income for use of the land. This has been proven and demonstrated to work for over 10 years. Economic growth. Energy Right has presented to the county, which was well attended in February 2023, and presented the economic opportunities which may be realized, including revenue sharing. There are examples throughout the state where $1,400 per megawatt over the operation of the project will be a direct pass-through benefit to the county. Energy Right has demonstrated $500,000 a year is equivalent to a 10% tax cut for Nottoway real estate taxes. A typical project that we are proposing may provide up to $3.5 million in revenue to the county over the course of the operation. CUP. Outside of one-off payments, there's an opportunity for the county to be creative in how they receive and spend CUP payments. There are projects which have created grants where local residents can benefit from reduced utility bills, payments towards their utility bills, and property tax. Solar has historically a 12 to 15 times multiplier in revenue and property tax. A similar project to Rocky Ford would provide millions in tax revenue over the operation of the project.
We're approaching our 5-minute limit.
Okay. I would like to thank the board for the opportunity to present and look forward to hopefully working with you all.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Did anybody have any questions? Okay. Mr. Warren Wade.
Good evening to the board members.
Good evening.
My privilege to be here tonight to talk to you. First of all, I'd like to thank you for taking the stance you've taken on trying to make this into the National Enquirer or the Jerry Springer Show. We don't need that. We have enough problems we can deal with on our own. First on my agenda tonight is going to be something good. You're going to enjoy it. I want to thank you folks and the Nottoway Sheriff's Office. About 3 weeks ago, I had a very unfortunate incident with a woman that tried to break in my house. In fact, she got in the back door by kicking it and breaking it open, tried to get into my house, which the inner door was locked. She screamed and beating on it. I'm not letting nobody in. I don't know who you are. And finally, I observed one of your cruisers coming into my backyard. As you know, I'm a former law enforcement officer, 30 years. So she ducked into the laundry room to get away, and that was my chance. I grabbed her by the arm. I was armed. I will tell you that straight up. Don't have a problem with it. Took her out, and your deputy was looking for her. She had been running since 10 o'clock in the morning. It was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I want to understand she had some warrants and didn't want to go to jail, which that's a good thing. But there was very good professionalism shown by your deputy, by the town chief, first sergeant, the other deputy, and the state trooper that showed up. I don't know what this woman's intentions were. Don't want to find out. And I don't want to shoot anybody, but I will if I'm forced. I have the right to live in peace under the castle doctrine and will invoke such.
Mr. Wade, could I ask you just one question here? And I understand and we appreciate you giving that praise to the officers. And once again, I think what we have to do moving forward, I have to have a copy of last month's agenda as well in order to be able to.
Sheriff's office is on the agenda.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And on it tonight, too.
Okay. All right. Continue on.
Again, I appreciate the Sheriff's Department coming out and taking care of that for me, looking out for the citizens of this county. I've noticed that your deputies are out here enforcing these speed limits, coming down 460, 360. You're taking your life at your own hands, especially around rush hour. I have no clue why people think it's Richmond Raceway, but maybe we can keep on taking these people and putting them in front of the judge, and encourage the judge to increase the fines, and maybe take those cars and put them in holding for a while. That being said, I also wanted to talk about the county moving forward trying to find a source of revenue other than the solar. I've spoken to some people, and I'll bring it to your attention. Dinwiddie County just got a new public business. Farmville got some. All around us have gotten anything. We seem to be the stepchild's not getting much. So I'm going to ask the board to have someone go to Richmond and speak to Ms. Karen Merrick, who's the Secretary of Commerce and Trade, see what jobs, what companies that would want to come down and invest their time, money, taxes and such into the county. And let's build something, a freight terminal would be good. It provides job, provides taxes, and I mean, something that we can all get a part of. I'm on Social Security disability. I don't get that much money every month. And I know that you're looking at taxes going up. Well, what little bit the federal government's going to give me, you're going to take. I'll be living on the same thing this year that I was living on last year. So maybe you can do that. And I know Mr. Duty is very well knowledgeable of a lot of the grants and funds that are available. And I'm hoping that you'll be looking at getting some new police officers with the inclusion of the people out at the west end of the county. And let's get them in there, but let's get some jobs in here. We really need them. If I could work, I would work. Physically unable to. But I mean, that's something we've got to do. And the final thing would be on the solar. As you know, it's in Richmond before the chambers up there, the Senate and the House. And I think with what you got, the 40 acres and the setbacks and all, I think that's appropriate. This young lady says it's not enough. What point do we get enough? Do we be like Spotsylvania and get 3,250 acres? The company come in and built it, kept it for 3 years, and then dumped it. They took their money and run. I don't want to see that happen here. If they come in and do this, the company that builds it is going to be responsible for it for the lifetime of it, whether they sell it or what. They need to be hold up on their end of the bargain. The money that they're talking about, I don't think that it's going to be that much. I've heard anywhere from $2 to $7 million. I would like to see that actually come about.
Okay.
And if it doesn't, well, let them come up with the rest of it. That's all I have to say today.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Wade. Anybody got any questions of Mr. Wade? All right. Mr. Robert Hawthorne.
Thank you, Mr. John Rourke.
Yes, sir.
Well, with the new rules of civility, that probably cuts my comments down to about a minute. I can't pick on Bill. I can't be disparaging to Dickie. I can't comment on John's looks. I can't tell stories about Bo.
I don't know you.
And Steve, well, Steve's a work in progress, I guess. Getting to know Steve as well as I know the rest of you, and of course I have nothing but good to say about that.
Because I used to work for him a long time ago.
That's right. So I'm going to keep my comments really short. You know, I know kind of finances is going to be the focus for this county for a while, and I know y'all are doing the best you can to find various sources of revenue, and it's just a fact. There's no immediate source of revenue like solar currently for the county, and you will be able to balance your budget. You will be able to keep your taxes low. You may even be able to decrease your taxes depending on how willing you are to work with the industry to keep Nottoway financially healthy. That being said, not that my opinion really matters all that much. I've known all of you for a long time. I'm seeing the board start to gel. I think we've got a strong board, and it appears y'all have open minds, you're willing to listen. And I don't know who said that Dickie doesn't talk to women. Every time I see Dickie, he's around no one but women. And he seems to be popular at every bank branch I go to. So I don't know where that came from. But I see a whole lot of positive coming out of this board. It looks like y'all are keeping an open mind, not just for solar, but other alternatives to improve Nottoway County. I know you're doing all that you can. So I guess my comments are very similar to Mr. Wade's. I want to see, I want the board to do the best for the county. But when you do consider solar as an option, or any revenue source, I want to ask the board to please keep discretion built in to whatever ordinances you pass. If, every project, just take solar as an example, every project's different. Every project has a myriad of characteristics that are going to be unlike any other project, even one next door. In some cases, one might make more sense than another. But I think it would behoove the board to keep your rules fairly flexible, but also keep discretion so that you can vote up or vote down a project based on the merits of that individual project. It's not just who owns land around it. It's 150 other factors at least, not just how happy are the neighbors. Some neighbors may be happy, other neighbors may not be. Some neighbors may be county residents, other neighbors may not be. But the topography, the size of the project, just please build in your ordinance the discretion to give yourselves the opportunity to analyze each individual project. And I think if the county does step into the arena when it comes to solar, you'll be happy that you did that. Again, thank you. I'm seeing a whole lot of positive out of the board. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, and I've enjoyed spending time with all of you on that topic and other county business. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, that's all we have for tonight on that.
Yes.
All right. We're going to move on to the public hearings now for the VDOT secondary 6-year plan. Ms. Bryan is here tonight to guide us through that.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Bowen. The secondary 6-year plan for fiscal years 25 through 30 is basically the same as it was last year, except for we had to drop off the last project on the plan due to drop in funding. And without any funding on the project, it can't remain in the plan. So I'm just going to go over the amount of funding that was provided over the next 6 years and then go over the projects. From FY25 to FY30, the total amount of telefees for Nottoway County is $230,000, 514. And the unpaid money provided is $184,000. So in FY25, the funds that were provided for unpaved roads is a total of $66,381. So that was a reduction in funding in the very first year of the plan. Okay, so I'm going to go over the projects. Number one is Route 1020 Custis Street. The estimate actually increased on that, so there was funds in one of the line items for the county for telefees, which we transferred the funding to that. It is planned to be built this year before the end of FY24. Route 636 Reservation Road, we're actually going to only be building about 700 feet of that project. I think you all remember that from last year. That's to get across the railroad crossing that's on that road. Part of it's already paved at the intersection. and that project is $27,000, so it did increase as well. The guardrail installation project is still on here only because there is still funds remaining on that project, and those are telefees. So as soon as that project is closed out, there's probably $5,000 left on that project that'll be transferred to the county's budget line item, so we can use it elsewhere. The next project is Route 684 Crystal Lake Road. That project is also fully funded right now, so we are looking at actually building that project this year. We were able to transfer some funding to that, so it'll be done this year instead of the date that's currently on there. The next item on the 6-year plan is the UPC 119251. If you remember, we added that project to the plan to do a study for the intersection at Williamson Road where it's a Y intersection. So this project is also, the study's been done and it's remaining in there for the same reason. As soon as we close it out and transfer those funds off, that will come out next year. We did find from that study that the intersection has to remain as it is right now. So the following project, the Williamson Road project, we did have to add a right-of-way phase to that. So the estimate for that project increased a little bit. But that project is set to be constructed in 2031, but with the additional funding, we will be able to move that up as well. The next project is Route 636 Barnes Lane. The estimate for that project is $78,000, and it currently has an add date of 2027. The next project is Route 652 Hawthorne Drive. That project is set for construction in May of 2028 with an estimate of $65,000. And the last item that is on your list for this secondary 6-year plan is the future secondary projects line item. The only money that is in that right now is telefee money, and that's just because we don't have a project to put that on. So during the upcoming year, we would like to sit down with the county and come up with a project to use that money. So Piper Road was the one that was dropped off the plan from last year because of lack of funding. So if the board so chooses, you can put it in your resolution that when funding becomes available, that Piper would come back onto the plan.
All right, anybody got any questions for Ms. Bryant?
Ms. Bryant, I was looking at the one about the guardrail installation, and it says Route 460, Lunenburg County line. I think it's Route 723.
That is Route 723. If you look right underneath where it says guardrail installation, you'll see the project number that says 723. And the 067 is Nottoway County, but it says it's a little confusing because there's no header there, but it's from Route 460 to the Lunenburg County
To the
line.
Lunenburg County. Okay, I got it now.
Yes,
Because
sir.
I was wondering, I know some have been put in.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
all complete.
Right, okay.
All right, anybody else got any questions for her? All right, well, at this time, board members, I need a motion to open the public hearings for any discussion for the VDOT secondary 6-year plan.
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are now open the public hearing for the VDOT secondary 6-year plan. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak for or against this plan? For or against? All right, seeing none, I need a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make the motion, close the public hearing.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, there is a resolution at the back of that page. I'm not sure if y'all have read that or not. If you have, Do you,
We need to get a vote to give you the authority as well, myself, to sign that resolution.
Can I ask Ms. Bryan a question on
sure,
that?
sure.
If we, oh, there she is. You stay.
Elvis left.
If we have the funds available, do we need to put it in this resolution for Piper Road?
You can add it to this resolution,
Or is it necessary to do that?
it's not necessary
Okay.
to do that because that's, because of the traffic count, that is the one that is scheduled to come.
Right. Right, okay. All right, well, I just wanted to make sure we didn't need to put it in the resolution before we, okay, all right, very good. Okay,
this-
thank you, ma'am.
This may be the total wrong time to ask this question. When may have been the last time that a traffic study was done at the 360, 460 interchange up there
The 360, 460,
in Burkeville there?
we actually did a study there where the ramp comes in from 460 into 360. We did a study there and we actually moved the guardrails some. We repainted the pavement markings to pull people away from that guardrail. And as far as I know, since we did that, I don't know of any accidents that have happened there. But that's the last study that I'm aware of, and we specifically asked for it at that intersection where that comes in into that ramp.
Yeah, the reason why I was asked, because I would like to have an accurate count of the amount of traffic that's going through 360 and 460 right there in the Burkeville Crew line right now, to see if we can use that as a marketing tool as well for that intersection area and the towns of Crew and Burkeville.
Okay, I can send you the link because the traffic count is available to the general
Okay.
public on the Virginia website.
Okay.
But I can send you the link directly to that and show you how to navigate through there.
That would be awesome. Thank you, greatly appreciate that. All right, board members, I need a motion. If y'all have y'all read the resolution and okay with that? Okay, I would need a motion for to allow myself and Administrator Bowen to sign this document, the resolution, to move forward with the 6-year plan.
I'll make a motion, we approve it.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that's taken care of. All right, next we have business license fee rates increase.
Mr. Chairman, I see Ms. Hudson is not here, but Ms. Norton was definitely took the lead on this, and we're hoping that this could increase some. We're looking for revenue, as Mr. Wade had mentioned. We're looking at some revenue in other places, and so I'm going to yield to Ms. Norton on that.
All right, and I did speak with Ms. Hudson tonight. She is watching from home and is available by phone. She wasn't able to come tonight. We've been working on this several months. Ms. Hudson provided a great deal of information, and as I had stated before, we are about the only county that is still at $10 for license fees. We have never increased this, and per the projections by Ms. Hudson's office, we could garner between $150, $160, primarily $150,000, $160,000 in revenue going forward, making this limited change. We looked at this option because we don't want to always go to the taxpayers for real estate and personal property. We looked at this option as a viable option because it's never been done before. It's not to hurt any business, but we also did comparison studies for all the surrounding counties, and this is something that all of the surrounding counties follow. So we make this recommendation on behalf of Ms. Hudson, myself, that I ask the board to approve this after we have public hearing and see what the people's input is.
Okay. Anybody got any questions for Ms. Norton thus far? All right, hearing none. I need a motion to open the public hearings for the business license fee rate increase.
I so move.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The public hearing is now open for anyone who would like to speak for or against the business license fee rates increase. For or against? Okay, hearing none, I need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The public hearing is now closed. What is your pleasure, board members?
I would like to make one more comment that we have added item number 15, which is hotel lodging fees. That was not in the prior licensing and tax structure.
So that becomes effective July 1, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions or any other additional reading that needs to be done? If not, I will entertain a motion or no.
Entertain a motion for what? I beg your pardon.
To approve the rate increase.
Oh, I'll make a motion to approve the rate increase. I thought we was talking about something we had already prior talked about. I'm sorry.
I second that motion.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Mr. Chairman, we don't have any presentations on schedule tonight.
All right, Ms. Bryant, your departmental report, please.
Good evening again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Bowen. So for the report tonight, I wanted to let you all know we did have quite a bit of rain on Wednesday night. The county ranged from 3 to 6 inches of rain, and we did have a lot of roads overtopped. Luckily, we didn't have any bridges that were overtopped, but just as a reminder, when we do have a bridge that floods, even though the water may recede, we still will not reopen the road until there's a bridge inspection done to make sure that the water didn't mess the bridge up or any of the footers or anything like that. So just a reminder, because we are coming into that season. The Route 46 project, the work is still ongoing, it's still on schedule to finish in October of '24. Carey Shop Road, Route 624, bridge over Mallory's Creek. That bridge was actually closed on February 5th and was scheduled to be reopened in June, but we opened it on May 9th, which is well ahead of schedule. The Route 723, 460 R cut, that project is still on schedule for advertisement in September of this year. The Route 4750 Darville's Roundabout, that's still on schedule for the right-of-way phase to start this summer. Currently has an advertisement date of February of '26. The slurry seal schedule is finished other than pavement marking. Contractors planning on doing the pavement marking starting tomorrow through the 21st, weather permitting. The chip seal surface treatment schedule is finished. The only thing the contractor has left to do there is sweep in areas that need sweeping. The review for the gradual speed reduction on Route 40, that report was done and completed and was approved by local and state law enforcement, and the recommendations and signs were actually installed on the 15th. The Route 460 to Route 360 Prince Edward County line speed study, that is still in the queue for traffic engineering to look at that to see about raising that speed limit. Route 611, Little Creek Road, you'll remember last year we closed that road for a while to remove the silt that had built up on the inlet end and within some of the pipes. What was brought to our attention last month that there was silt buildup there again. So far it hasn't filled the pipes, but it is at the inlet end. So we're going to be closing that road again in June, starting on June 3rd to the 14th, just to remove that sediment before it begins to clog the pipes. And last but not least, our Highway Heroes event is going to be held in October 26th, 24, from 9 to 2 at the Chesterfield Fairgrounds in Chesterfield, and it is free to the public and will be held rain or shine. So that's all that I have. Do you all have anything for me?
Thank you. Y'all have any questions, Ms. Bryant? Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Bryant. Mr. Bowen did waste and leach out, please.
Mr. Chairman, board members, because we got a big rain the other night, I guess everybody went through that flood, quick one. We are hauling back to Blackstone. I thank Blackstone for letting us take the leachate back up there, so we're doing it ourselves. We're no longer contracting out. All those tanks are gone. But if you look at your, and for the general public too, look at your K1 item later on about expenditures, at the very end, you'll see some of the money, how much money it costs to haul that leachate away. Kind of gives you an idea, but I just want to, but other than that, we're heading in, hopefully in the right direction, and let the rain slow up a little bit.
Good deal.
All right.
Deal. All right, is Mr. Bowles here?
No, sir. Mr. Bowles is on at a training. I do just want to recommend, and we can skip it when you get to it. If you look at J2, he is a certified building official, and so he's already in some training sessions. And I thank y'all for doing a resolution of having him being our building official up to this time. So we'll keep on working forward to other things with blight and things like that we want to talk about. But anyway.
Deal.
All right.
All right, board members, the rest of the stuff is in your package. I'm gonna skip down to number 7. I did see Ms. Grimes was here. Do you have anything, Ms. Grimes?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, board members, Mr. Bowen.
Good evening, Dr. Hunt.
Just want to say to the board again, thank you for your support, your partnership. I appreciate your ear, your time, and your willingness to work with the school board to ensure that we adequately fund our schools for our students in the public education system. Also wanted to make sure that board members know that graduation is on Saturday, June 1st at 10 a.m. We'd love to have you join us. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Right. What time was that you said? 10. 10. Okay.
It's usually hot that day in the dark.
You'll tell by the level of sweat running from my
Yeah.
We'll have Sonny running around with hand fans,
Yeah.
fanning everybody. All right, Mrs. Odie?
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
I wanted to make tonight just very quick. I do have 2 additional items for you all. One was an update on our broadband situation. We're looking at the 3 sites, as y'all remember. It's Lewiston Plank Road right behind the county dump site on Langston Plank Road. And then it's the Cox Road, and then on 460 closer to the Cherry Tree Crossing area. What's the holdup at this time is having River Street move forward with the permission I gave them to reduce their setbacks. I said, do not get into the VDOT right away. But I'm okay as administrator because we already have cabinets. That's basically the equipment shelters. You'll see the tall old green boxes and stuff. Those are in the right of way. So I'm not going to treat this type of utility use with differently than others. The third site is the Cox Road. And so I spoke to, Mr. Bowe and I spoke to Mr. Walden today, who's handling the leases on our behalf. And what I've done is reached out to Mr. Cox to call me, and I did this today, so we can make sure that we're all on the same page, because I did as he requested and gave him assurance that I was willing to work with him to reduce the setbacks for the 50 by 50 equipment shelter. And in my opinion, that's really what's holding us up at this point.
One thing that board members, and I'm just piggyback on what Mr. Zodi's talking about, when they picked a site, like we had a plot of land that is over there, it was doing the LRA part, and they picked a site over there and they put that 50 by 50 building right in the middle. We don't want it in the middle, we want it off to the side, right, so we can do something with that property. And then that's when the setback comes back with the road. But to us, it's no difference in you got these phone poles. You know what I mean? They're close to the road, so we're trying to. Really, the ball is in their court. We do have some concerned citizens about, and hopefully I'm gonna set up a meeting with one of them. Mr. Collins had called me, and about dealing with what River Street is actually doing, because we got a lot of money tied up in this contract. So I did pull the contract to see how many houses that we're supposed to be serving and that type of thing. And it's the first phase was like, I'm gonna say 2,000, then 1,400, 400 some later because of phase 2. But my point I'm trying to make is, which I gotta learn this too, and I've talked to Mr. Zodi, but we haven't had a conversation. We had a quick conversation today, and we parted ways. We don't write the check to River Street, okay? We write it to the Western Piedmont Planning District. And I don't know, Mr. Zodi, maybe you can explain that a little bit if you know. I know I'm kind of setting you up, but it's almost, are they the police of making sure we get what we're supposed to be getting with this planning district?
Yes, sir, that's correct. They're the grant administrators for this particular project. And the Western Piedmont Planning District Commission. That includes not only Nottoway County, but Amelia County, Charlotte County, Bedford County, Pennsylvania County, and there might be one in between. But we're in the eastern part. We're sort of the tail end of this dragon's tail, so to speak. And we're getting there, but it's just taking a lot longer than I anticipated as well. But at least it's been sort of the bugaboo here.
Are they working in these other counties?
Yes. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, they had some equipment delay issues. I don't know if it's supply chain or somebody messed up. But in Pennsylvania County, there was a little setback. And then Charlotte County, they're getting underway there. But Amelia, I think, is ready to go. And now it's just basically us.
And that was the thing too bothering me, Mr. Collins. Because that's when I wanted to go see Mr. Zodi today. I said, is these setbacks, the setback and waiting for them to respond about putting these 50 by 50 buildings for the network? Are we holding that up, or someone else holding it up? Because I'm hearing the same thing. People aren't seeing Riverside moving on it.
Right.
And so I think maybe we called Ken Waldron today, and really the ball is in their court. So I've asked Mr. Zodi to reach out to him again and say, look, if you don't understand what we're saying, we got a communication gap, we'll meet you out on the site and point where we want it at. And it's okay. So not sure what's going on there. And I got to figure out too, how if it is something slowing up, I need to get in touch with the Western Planning District and say, can you help me get this moving? What's the holdup,
We have monthly meetings, and I include that in my department head report. And what they said, was just they're waiting. Doug Cox is his name, and he attended a meeting I think 2-3 months ago before you all. And he came with Rob to discuss what their plans are down the road.
He came with some sense of urgency.
He did.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A big sense of urgency.
We replied with urgency as well. So it's just, okay, we've done our part.
Okay.
Sort of my attitude. And one thing I can always do is reach out with Mike Armbrister. He used to be the executive director of Western Piedmont Planning District Commission, and now he's working for River Street. So I can always arrange a sit-down lunch with him or something like that and just kind of say, this is kind of important to us and our citizens.
But I'd like a timeline.
So would I, honestly. And I hear you, Mr.
If you could
Collins.
ask for that.
Okay.
Every time I go to the dump on 723, I look. Are they doing anything yet? Nothing's happening.
I can't answer citizens' questions right now, so I need to be able to do that.
Okay, I understand completely. I get the calls too, and it's, we're doing what we can with the limited powers and information we have, so. The other thing I wanted to mention very briefly was, I want to make sure the board is aware, I'm probably going to bring 4 public hearings to the June 20th meeting. One will be a comprehensive plan amendment that's going to the Planning Commission next Tuesday. We're going to have often delayed SUP that's going to be heard by the Planning Commission, one way or the other, on Tuesday night. And then we'll have another public hearing for the property on Cox Road that's next to the Virginia Tech Tobacco Institute. He wants to do kind of a variety of general business. Lastly, we might have something coming in for the US 460 Natural Resources site. They want to do kind of a mixed-use addition to the sheds and stuff. And I think that's a great location for it because you have one house to the north of that, and then the other railroad tracks.
All right.
I mean, you can't beat that side. And I believe, Ms. Chuck, that's in your district as well,
it
sir.
is.
So you and I'll be glad to brief you on that as well.
Okay.
But that's all I had, sir.
You had one other item, I believe. You received an email from planning in regard to District 5.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Mr. Collins. Yes, Hugh Jones, it's with a lot of, it bothers me a little bit, but Mr. Jones has resigned from his seat representing District 5. He had moved, after his mother passed last year, he had moved into her house, which was in Dinwiddie.
Dinwiddie.
And so it's going to kind of hurt us this month. I don't know if I'll be able to get a public hearing, but we do need to schedule a replacement for him ASAP. And I can put a notice, or I don't know how y'all would want me to work this, but I can put something on the website.
I would say we're also filling up the industrial authority again. So I think both of those need to go on the website.
Yeah.
Any vacancies on any boards need to be on the website.
Okay, yeah, y'all just tell me, and I'll do it.
Yeah, that and the IDA, okay. And the question came up, and Mr. Collins and myself had a short conversation, but and I've learned that Mr. Collins, when he wants to go to sleep at night, he reads the Virginia Code, and I think it helps him. So, but anyway, I'm pretty sure in his right. It doesn't have to be from each district. I mean, if he makes a motion, if he finds a person, it doesn't have to be from District 5. We've kept it that way, but I think what we're looking for is the qualifications of the person. And so, but I mean, anyway, so just want to, mention that to you, because if you look at the code, it really doesn't say it's about the districts. Okay. I think that's been a gentleman, ladies agreement with the board. So just keep that in mind when he finds somebody, All
right. Mr. Zodi, speaking of timeline, and I see Shane is here as well, I'd like to get a timeline over to the board as far as getting the LRA rezoned as light industrial.
Actually, thank you for bringing that up, Chair. I've been working on the plan of what I'm calling the Piedmont Park Planned Industrial Development. And I realized a few things after our EDC meeting where we discussed, or I shared that information with the members, that we didn't have any information in there about signs, setbacks, lighting, and parking. Those are kind of important things,
right,
depending on how you look at it.
Right.
So I've incorporated those, and I'm just trying to clean up that language. But my plan, because I usually like to spend my weekends here, I'm kind of a masochist, but is to get a copy for the Planning Commission to review on the for their May 21st meeting.
Okay.
And then I'd like, if they're okay with it, in June, perhaps have them take a vote on it, give me some corrections and stuff, ideally. That's my ideal conditions. So I would like to get it moving as soon as possible, because I know we also need to cut up, do surveys and stuff, and develop a plat for this.
Well, and y'all help me with this now. As far as the budget over in his area, I think there was there a request for like $10,000 for advertising or something like that, or promotions or something like that? Or was that in his previous year's budget or something?
Yeah, for promotions just in general and stuff. I have, well,
No, because I know there's like some websites out there on the state and stuff like that, to
Right.
advertise.
We talked about LoopNet.
Yes.
But that was before I knew. You sent me some of our information is up on the state website.
Yes, it's the VDP, it's called the IVS site.
And that's available.
Pick a park.
That's free, correct?
Yes, sir, that is.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out, because I was asked by a citizen specifically about $10,000. I don't know if there was something that it was in this current budget or previous budget.
It was a request that he had at our budget days.
Yes.
Yeah, basically what I was asking for, is to retain the money I have, and given our budget situation, I don't know if tonight's the appropriate night to, within our new guidelines, but I'm willingly can give up what I asked for with my economic development budget, maintain that 25 that we have for economic development, and I can make it work. In terms of getting that internet service for national advertising for Pickup Park, and also for memberships and stuff, it'll basically bring me down to zero after all is said and done, new memberships, et cetera. And some of the conferences, if they have, well, they do have some. But I think we can make it work. And to what Ms. Norton had mentioned during the work session, we can always start planning for marketing and branding and whatnot. But I think first we have to have an industrial park to market.
We have to have a product, right?
Right.
Understand. And so, and I am, just for transparency purposes, Ms. Bryant, Chastity Bryant, my peer in the town of Blackstone, she reached out to me because they're applying for a DJIP. And sorry, Mr. Toth, I don't know what that acronym is, but
Thank you.
But I've been asking for a letter of support because it has to do with water line. coming from the reservoir at Barfoot to the town. And I think upscaling those a little bit. So, but I would like to get this before the board. I have not received any comments from the EDC on this proposed industrial park. But what I have done, and I'm going to be very transparent with you all, I've removed the approvals that they have to come before the Planning Commission or the board. Look, we want to make this
We want it to be used by, don't say removed, we want it to be used by right.
yes, that's what I've done. It's just, they come to me with the site plan. I'll approve the site plan because it's normally a function of the zoning administrator to review that. I'm happy to share it, include it with y'all. When we have our prospect, I'll probably bring in fireworks. I mean, it'd be great to have somebody come in and actually start developing here. But I've included all the uses. I did strike the gasoline stations. I don't think we need a service station out there, and we're trying to find higher dollar investments in our county. But I did strike that as a use. But everything else is by right if we adopt this ordinance. And there's, you know, I'm going to remove the sidewalks and whatnot, but I want the Planning Commission to give some comment, feedback on that as well, because what they can do is give me feedback at the June meeting, and then we can proceed forward and ask them for permission to hold the public hearing in July.
Okay.
That's my plan.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Good deal. Thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate
you're
it, Greg.
welcome. Sorry to consume the oxygen for a few minutes.
All right. Mr. Hyde.
Hey, before we go to Hyde, can
Yes,
we
sir.
back up to social services?
Uh-huh.
There's a vacancy on that board, and I'd like to make an appointment from my district to it.
Okay.
To Miss Marilyn Wilson, to the Department of Social Service Board for the 4th District. She's a Nottoway County educator. She understands fully the role of it and is willing to accept it.
All right. So you put that in the motion to appoint Ms. Marilyn Wilson?
Yes.
All right. Can I get a second?
I'll second that. Very nice lady and very knowledgeable.
Yep, she taught me how to kick a ball one time. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Please, if we let the staff will let Ms. Marilyn Wilson know that she has been approved and that's effective immediately.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. All right, Buddy.
Okay, good evening,
evening.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Mr. Bowen.
Hey.
My report is in your packet, so if you have questions, I'm certainly here for that.
Save us some ink.
Okay.
I'm kidding, man.
Yeah, I'm just really up here at the podium if you have questions on the report, but I do want to point out, as I always do, a couple of highlights, and just 3 things real quick. You know, in that report, we talk a little bit about the personnel accountability system. We sat down with all 3 fire departments in the county, and we've had a really good working relationship with 3 officers from each fire department, or 1 from each fire department, and was doing a standardized accountability system. What that is each firefighter that's on the scene has a tag, and we wanted it to be one system. You know, you don't need 3 different tag systems. So we're standardizing is the key word. And as we've done, the last couple of years, standardize this, standardize, that. So that was one more item that we've done. As a group, it's a collective group. The other thing is, we talked about these flood sensors. Well, guess what? Pretty good timing, huh?
Right.
We got 3 flood sensors in. These are high tech. And so, we have them on the Little Nottoway. We put one down at Crystal Lake, and we have one on Deep Creek. The next 2 are going to be at Fort Barfoot Reservoir when the bridge is finished, and then we've got another one going to the falls on 49 at the Nottoway River. So we'll have those 5 free. They're paid for by VDM. So here's the good news. Tomorrow I'm going to send you the link. They went live this week. Imagine that. With 5 inches of rain, some people told me they hadn't engaged. I don't know what we really received, but these will tell you what each one of those tributaries did receive. And you'll be able to see it online. Okay. So I'll send that link to you. That way I can see it, you can see it, and we can monitor this all year long as far as Nottoway County goes.
That's just like the James River, they're high tide, low tide, correct?
Yeah, that's right. It's like you see it on the news, like Shules Point,
yes.
And things like that. So now you'll see like Little Nottoway, okay. Deep Creek. And what this does is the high-tech sensor they put in, I went ahead and watched them put 2 in, and I'm going to watch them the next 2. It is measured with a beam, like a laser beam that goes down to the river. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing that actually collects the water, nothing that really floats in the water. It's high tech. Mm-hmm. And it has a little small solar panel on the top, so it's all self-supportive, and it sits up on the bridge. So no power was run to it. They take care of the maintenance on it. The only thing we have to do is they ask me to go out and inspect them every now and then to make sure they're in good shape. And if they are broken, the state comes out and repairs. The last item is we're planning to do a kickoff meeting for this radio project in June. I talked to CTA this week, the engineering group that that helped us with this. This will be the start of the next two-year period. As all of you know, the implementation will be about 2 years. So the kickoff, we're hoping in June. I just wanted to plant that now. We don't have an exact date, so they're going to get with us on when JVC Kenwood can do that. And then last but not least, on Tuesday night, the night we had your work session, I mentioned to you, but I want the public to know as well tonight that the Nottoway Emergency Squad did a fabulous job hosting almost 200 people from around the state for this drug box program that we're having to take on as a federally move that's unfunded mandate from the federal to the state and down to us. So we did have about a 2-hour work session. I had to leave to come to be with you, but I certainly was engaged in it and listened to it, and we saw people, when I walked in the parking lot, we had Virginia Beach here in Nottoway, we had Glasgow, you know where that is, out west. We had Winchester, Frederick County people, just a really good showing from around the whole Commonwealth. And, out of all the classes that we do host, you never see people coming from that far away. But we had 60-some people in person and 140 virtual. So we had a lot of people tuned in from around the state that were virtual. That's all I had. I think on unfinished business, you're going to have me back up again, Mr. Bowman?
I should have.
Okay.
The chairman asked if there were any amendments to the agenda. They approved it, and I went brain dead on you. So since you're up there, I don't know, was wondering if I could just sneak it in now.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it, and I'll stay back after we do this.
Okay. What? So you can go get something to eat, and all of us got to sit in here, huh?
I'm gonna still be with you. I'll just you won't have to. I won't have to see me stand here. I'll wait for you, and we'll grab something after. Unfinished business. You have a regional hazardous mitigation plan that CRC helps us do. It's every 5 years. It's updated. This is the one that was just recently reviewed by FEMA. So we had to send it out to CRC. It goes up to FEMA. The federal government looks at it. The state looks at it at VDEM's level, and it is ready to go. It's ready for you to adopt. I've also, we sent copies to the towns. Crew, Burkeville, and Blackstone are also adopting the same piece because we're all partners and players in this regional mitigation plan. It's pretty simple. What it does, so the public knows, it allows us to apply for grants in Nottoway County for hazard mitigation. Now, some of the things are water lines. That is considered hazard mitigation. Water lines, encrusted lines, replacements. It also talks a little bit about, any kind of hurricane-type activities, hardening of buildings for hurricanes, things of that nature. It's hazard mitigation. So with that, all we're asking of you tonight is to go ahead and, make a motion to adopt the hazard mitigation plan, which will be a 2024 plan, good for another 5 years.
All right, board members, you have it in front of you if you need to continue to read. But at some point, we need a motion to adopt and give the authority to the chairman and the county administrator to sign to complete the adoption of the mitigation plan here.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Okay, thank you, board members.
Yes, sir. All right. Okay. Whoops. I'll flip this back over. Mr. Collins, on
Yes.
Piedmont Regional Jail.
The jail, we had a meeting yesterday. They're carrying 137 federal inmates, so that is helping us with our expense. Something that we've been working on the last 6 weeks with Senator Mulcahy and Delegate Lee Ware. Annually, the state had been reimbursing Nottoway County for the cost of VCBR residents who become incarcerated after committing a crime at Riverside or at the regional jail. The costs due to inflation have increased from the $212,000 that we're getting reimbursed to $409,000. We did not get that approved at the state level. The state is aware of it, and hopefully that'll be remedied.
All right.
Okay?
Good deal. Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Hawkins from the LRA.
board members.
Good evening.
Mr. Bowen. I just have one item tonight, and it's a follow-up on a project we have for our timber project at the LRA Properties. I found the need to request that we have a survey on the timber before we send out the RFPs to the consultants. I found some inconsistencies in the borders and in the boundary markings. I knew of a few in the past, and I thought there was maybe 10, 20 acres here and there at the most, and when they walked the property, they would find the survey markers and know where they were. But we're probably talking upwards of 100 acres difference, and it may be a little more. And it's no one person or agency's fault. I spoke with Christy Hudson about it, and I spoke with a couple other people to try to figure out if there's an easy fix to this, and there's not. It's going to cost a little money now to get the surveys done, but in the end, I think legally we'd be glad we did it. If you've ever had timber surveyed, and if you've ever had your property timbered before, and I believe you have,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Ingram, if someone goes over on someone else's property while they're timbering for you, you're going to get in a lawsuit, and they're going to say that timber was worth $1 million. And it doesn't sound like much when you're out in the middle of the woods and you're an acre or two off, but in this situation, I just think it's needed. And I didn't bring it to anyone's attention before because I thought the boundary markers were close enough. I went out personally and walked almost every inch of property there is. And the boundary markers are off enough that you can talk probably $100,000 difference between what we were quoted versus what we could get. And I think what we could spend now on a survey would save us problems in the future.
How many parcels?
I don't have an absolute number on the parcels right now, and I'll tell you why. I'll give you a quick example. I won't use exact numbers, but I'll give you an example. Let's say the college years ago bought 300 acres from the LRA in Nottoway. And on the left side of that property, LRA owns it. In the middle is a house with a driveway. It could be 6 to 8 acres. It has to be surveyed out. Well, that was never recorded or registered. Someone with either the school or someone with a business, whoever's bought property in the past, never followed up and got it registered or titled properly. Not titled, never got it deeded or registered properly with Nottoway. And it just kept going and going and going until now, years later, we're looking at it and we're down to the fine lines and it's not in there.
I heard you say boundary line. What are you speaking of when you say boundary line? Where are you coming up with the term boundary line if it's not been surveyed? Is there any description
It was
of
surveyed in 1999.
It was surveyed and not recorded, is that what you're saying? Well, if it was surveyed and not recorded and it was done by a certified surveyor.
Well, no, that was recorded, but what I'm talking about is recorded when land sales happened. An example, we had a parcel that was approximately 300 acres. College bought part of that parcel. When they bought part of that parcel, the LRA kept half of it, and there was a house in the middle of it that the LRA owns. That's never been deeded or recorded by itself.
So the buyer never surveyed what they bought?
Well, we own the house. It's LRA.
Well, so then it was sold and bought by Gross and Boundaries. So there still was a line. That survey is still from 1997 is in effect.
It's not that the surveys are incorrect. It's when the parcels were broke up and sold in sections through the years. I'm talking all around the airport off of Fort Barfoot. Some parcels were 20 acres, some parcels were 120 acres.
And they described them in the deed just by the acres?
Well, there's a lot more to it than that, but what I'm saying is you have I'm giving you an example, a large parcel of 300 acres, okay? It was broke up into 3 parcels after being one large parcel.
Okay.
Those 3 parcels, as an example, were never recorded properly. We know we don't own it, they know they own it, but for whatever reason, it's not recorded properly, which is not in my department.
The deed work's not recorded property or the lines are not recorded property?
The deed.
The deed work's not, well, then that would fall back to the attorney who preparated the deed, if an attorney done it.
Could
More
be.
so to the clerk of the circuit court who recorded it.
Could be. I'm just giving you examples. I'm not giving you specifics.
I know a man I could ask, but I don't know if that's pretty.
Yeah, I'm just giving. And it's happened, and at first I thought it was an anomaly when I looked at a couple of these parcels.
It doesn't sound right to
And
me.
and I looked at it and went, I think we need to backtrack before we put out the request for proposal for timber consulting.
Well, you need to know where the line
Just to
is.
cover ourselves. Well, again, it was surveyed in 1999. I'm
But
not saying
that's
those
still
numbers are
good.
wrong.
The surveys are good.
They're good
Surveys are
forever.
good. It's
The
when
deed should reference
It could be
that
100.
survey.
It's not my department.
Well, I
And
would
don't
suggest,
know
I would
who-
suggest you get the county attorney to look at it first, before any kind of money needs to be, because he may say, we're looking at it totally wrong. That survey from 1997 spells out that John Doe got 7.6 acres at this, to this line, to this line, to this line, and some kind of mapping took place for him to acquire the 7.6 acres in a description of the deed that he got it by.
Well, it's the land that's been sold since 1999. It's
Well, I
all the
understand- you said
parcels
97, but I
since-
understand.
Yeah, and again, the
But they
survey, I'm
described
not
that in the legal language of that deed,
been sold.
and the county attorney needs to look at that and see what that language was. He may say you're in fact right,
Land been
y'all
sold
spend the
right
money and get the survey done, and he may say no, it was sold by gross and bounds, but here they are, from that old oak tree on the east side.
Right. Again, it's
drive
just,
by it,
it's
or
an
they
anomaly
give-
that I
they
came up
county
with, and
give
when
it
I
to us.
started seeing a pattern, I guess you
Mm-hmm.
could
See,
say.
that's what I'm saying.
It just threw up a red flag for me before we go forward and put a request for proposal in the paper, which we already put together, and the board has reviewed. I just think we need to be a little more specific.
Part of that request
Yes, sir.
is, this is the request for a forester, correct? A consulting forester?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And it hasn't gone public yet.
Every consulting forester that I've ever been involved with goes out and marks your lines.
Yes, sir.
That's what I
And he
said.
uses the meets and bounds. He
Yes, sir.
uses the legal description.
Yes, sir.
So I believe that's going to resolve itself. At that time,
It may,
at
but
that time, if it doesn't resolve itself, then there's, the remedy is, surveying or.
Or to have the
or
county attorney look at it
Have
first.
the attorney look at it. But
and there's probably a couple different ways to look at
That-
this, but I just wanted to bring it to the
Well,
board's
and that's,
attention.
and that's good that
just
we
to-
know about it.
Yes.
Because if our forester gets there
Yes, sir.
and says, well, this doesn't make sense,
Yes, sir.
then we know we've got a problem on that particular line.
Yes, sir.
Surveying's expensive,
It is.
so
Yes.
we need to watch our
You just crushed a lot of people's dreams.
Yeah.
But
That consulting forester is gonna be able to, he's got a lot more experience than anybody
Yes, sir.
as far as finding lines in the woods of Southside Virginia.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Hawkins, I appreciate your attention to detail and being proactive, because in the end, it could save us a lot of money.
And this way, we may expect to hear some of this from a
Yes, sir.
consulting forester.
And I.
So thank you for bringing it.
Yeah, and I hope that I'm wrong about my numbers. I'm just going by what is on the county website, on the plat maps, and what I have on paper.
Well, no, I can tell you right now, none of those are accurate.
Exactly.
I can tell you from
Say the
second
same
experience.
thing. I know they're not accurate.
No.
That's
Get you-
the-
Personal
They're not,
experience, I know
in fact,
they're
if
not
you read the
accurate.
description on it, they're not meant to be accurate.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of this came up, and even if I'm off by 5 acres, at least I brought it to someone's attention and it doesn't fall back on the LRA.
That's fine.
That's all I'm trying to.
And a survey can always be done one line. You don't have to survey the whole parcel
Yes, sir.
that was taken out of it. You can do one line and,
Yeah, yes, sir.
Historically speaking, there's probably plats down through the years.
Yes, sir.
And so if we're looking for a corner, then you hired a surveyor, go find that corner.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. So
And there's a
that's-
lot of markers out there and pin markers. I've seen them,
That's right.
but
And
I
that's
haven't
a-
seen them all.
That's a much better way to tackle a bigger problem, is to find me that point, and then you're measuring from that.
Yes, sir.
and a metal detector, a lot of times, because the pin is under the dirt, will help you a whole lot in locating the line.
Yes, sir.
That's how a surveyor typically, with chop lines on the trees, along with chop lines.
So we're gonna move forward with sending the RFPs to the timber consultants, is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, do that, we'll start that tomorrow?
Yes,
All right.
sir. It's
Okay.
written up, ready to go.
I didn't want to wait for the LRA meeting. I told them to come on and give a report on that, because I don't want to keep kicking the can around. But I'm with you. I told them the same thing. I said, a timber consultant is not going to tell you that's not your timber.
Right, because he's got the insurance policy he's got to pay at the end of the day.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, thank you all.
All right,
for
thank
your
you.
service.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
All right, Sheriff Jones, you have anything? Okay.
He does. He's got a roof leak.
You already reported that, you didn't, Steve.
It never leaked until it started raining.
No, that's usually the case.
That's usually the case, Steve.
All right.
Sorry about that, Sheriff, we're on it.
All right, Ms. All right, Ms. Ms. Watrous. Good evening.
You have, in addition to the normal reports, a letter request. That came, I went and spoke to the current person serving in the finance spot, just to say, is this something that can be done, any of the carryover? Because we had vacancies this year, looking to try and get caught up on records retention. I know normally carryovers for one-time purchases, so I'm not even sure if that's an option, but the current county finance person told me to present it to the board, so that's what I did. If it's not right, of course, I don't want the county to do it. I was just following that recommendation, so.
And Ms. Walters, I did put that on the agenda for the, you and I hadn't had conversations, I know you've been busy, but I did put it on the agenda Wednesday for the Finance Committee, and it was a robust discussion about it, but anyway, I'll leave that, yield to Ms. Norton.
Ms. Walters, we did discuss that in finance, and big question about that is regarding compensation board funding carryover, to explain, which you understand, but a lot of people don't, that don't deal with comp board money.
So I was not asking for the comp board money part. The
Okay.
money that I'm talking about was actually local funded. So the part-time attorney position for this past year has been open for most of the year at a salary of over about $55,000. That is fully locally funded based off of the state mandate that you have to have a spot for body cameras.
Okay.
So that was, most of that, there was a little bit, we had an admin spot open for a couple months, and that also was local. So it's just local money that I was referencing for the request for carryover.
Okay, I'll double check with Logan, but I believe we can interchange line item to line item in the same fiscal year, but we can't carry over one fiscal year to another fiscal year.
That's fine.
But we
Logan's
will-
the one who told me to
I'll
just
give you a
request it,
definite,
so I
But
just
in
did
our
what she
discussion,
said.
that's what we found out, but I can get you a code or to explain it a little better, but I don't believe we can do that.
No, and like I said, that's fine. I had gone to Logan just to say, was this an option? And she told me to write to the board, so I did. And if it's not, it's not, and I understand.
And we'll get you a concrete answer, but I don't believe we can do that.
The other thing that we will probably need an answer on is how to do the grant position in my office, the violent crime grant. The prior board, appropriated the money, and that's a 3-year grant, so it kind of somehow is supposed to go from year to year, but logistically, I'm not sure how that works. I know I've had some discussions with county admin, but there was no conclusion. So if I need to make a request or how that works.
Is that a full grant or is that a match grant?
That's not a match grant. That
Okay.
doesn't at all. That's a full grant. It was $369,000, and don't ask me the last couple digits.
Yeah, the intent was to carry that over for 3 years.
Right, so. Any other questions I can?
Anybody got any questions for Ms. Watrous?
You all have a good evening.
All right, you too, thank you. All right, unfinished business, animal shelter report.
Mr. Chairman, we spoke, and you can tie that to new business too, J3. So we had that discussion, pretty robust the other night too about the animal shelter, update during our work session. What I would like to ask the board to do, I'm trying to figure out how to keep things moving, okay? And what I'd like the board to consider, if y'all could do I talked to Ms. Kelly and before when we dedicate ARPA funds, we get a vote from the board. I would ask y'all to maybe do something like a motion to give me the authority to spend ARPA funds for the architect, the retainage of $10,000. That's one, pending on zoning in Burkeville and getting the contract of the building. And the reason why I'm asking just right now for the architect, I had a conversation with him. It's Solex architect, a guy named Jeff Bonds. We had Jeff and I had a good conversation yesterday. I know that they're looking to, the CARES group is looking for some type of project manager, and the board has expectations definitely of me being the project manager, and they're trying to figure out how they I can get the CARES involved in making improvements to the building and let them pay for that. I understand that. So anyway, Mr. Bonds, Mr. Bonds said, listen, I think I can work with them, but I got a contract with you, Steve, not with CARES. So I got to figure out how I can get those communications started. In other words, if we do have some empty space, and the way he is doing an existing building, and I'm just telling you, like on that right side, he's figuring out the width of what is required by the state and the depth and the guillotine, and he's going to put as many as he can on that right side. You with me? Just about, because that's where the land is flat. Because we mentioned it, we talked about that too. If you get into site work, then you got a whole other problem. So right now, I'm just asking for the board to possibly once we get approval, I can send a check from ARPA for $10,000 to at least retain this architect who is under state contract.
I heard you say, once you get approval pending the contract, the sale of the building, to send him $10,000
The architect.
to the architect to secure his position in doing the job, more or less.
Yes, sir.
What would be the problem with waiting until we actually acquire the building by the deed before we spend the $10,000 to secure it? Has he give you a timeline and said, I need this deposit?
No, and it's all, the ball is on my court. We can do what we want, but I'm trying to figure out, suppose it happens, I'm trying to figure out how to stop waiting for the next month's meeting.
To speed up the time a little bit.
Oh, that's what I'm trying to do. I tried to get in touch with Mr. Elder to see if Mr. Boswell and him are communicating, and I left a message with him and his assistant Christy. I didn't get a response. If I did, it's on my number in the office. I don't know.
Do we have to make, before you can close on the property for the county, do we have to take a vote on using the opera funds to pay for the structure? We do.
Yeah.
So if we got to take
funds
then I would recommend us to make a motion to use the opera funds money to acquire the building.
Okay.
And then include in that motion your $10,000 request to retain the architect.
Once we know we own the building, and once we know
then you won't have to wait till the next meeting.
That's what I'm trying to do. That would.
What do y'all
so you
think
just
of
took
that?
it further. I'm okay with that.
Wait a minute, with that amount, do we need a public hearing? Not on ARPA.
Not on ARPA.
ARPA. That's right, not on ARPA.
But we do, every vote, Ms. Kelly showed me, every ARPA funds has had a board vote. But it's a lot of pending here. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's
right.
Well, that would eliminate some of the pending.
Yeah, right.
Because then we wouldn't be pending a contract, pending a closing. We would just say, we won't mention the contract.
Right.
We would say pending the closing in the motion.
Okay.
That we give the county administrator permission to seek out the architect's $10,000 deposit and the $65,000 left. And just do it all one deal. That's my thought.
Have you communicated with Burkeville as to what the timeline is of their zoning pending?
Yeah, well, when I'm communicating with Burkeville, is really a contractor that Burkeville's bringing as town manager. And I did, Mike Gentry, I did communicate with him. He's expected it's just an exercise, a process, but he cannot get that done until next Burkeville Town Council meeting because they got to do and in fact, I think they're going to zone more than just that now, that whole plat, that whole area there. And then the other thing is I asked him about the water line, and he said, Steve, I haven't dug a water line yet. They did the groundbreaking in it, and he says, well, I bring a water line unless I know something is going.
Well, that's what I was going to say. In that contract, in the purchase agreement contract, that should be listed in there pending zoning approval.
Yeah.
And that way it would, and then we still don't need to make that motion because we're saying after purchasing the property, closing on it, then we'll do it. It won't be closed on unless it's met zoning approval. In the sales contract.
So I know they got to do 2 weeks advertisement.
Right, that's right. Mike said he could do it. He wished he could do it faster, but he can't.
Right. So are we just, unfortunately, use that word, are we in a holding pattern right now? Then? Over what?
But we're on a timeline for
make the motion
fiscal
to do
year
it
end.
if the building, we can make a motion if the building is acquired per the contract by Nottoway County for animal shelter.
And I know what he's saying. I know what excuse me, Mr. Toth. I'm not going to purchase the building until I know the zoning is there.
Correct. Well, that's going to be in the sales contract.
That's right.
Well,
that's going to be in the sales contract.
Okay, we say the same thing.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying. Do we need a motion before that?
We really need to, because the next.
Well, you need a
meeting ended
contract
June.
first.
Yeah,
Well, that's what I'm
Signed
saying.
contract, due to, in the conditions that it be, the zoning be approved.
Right.
I don't know that we gotta take a vote on getting the contract. All we gotta do is take on vote of using the opera funds to pay for it.
Right.
So if we do that tonight, that'll be out of the way. Steve can go to work on getting the contract, finding the zoning approval.
Okay.
And then we don't have to meet back on that part of it again, on far as payment of it.
Please make sure we use the word pending.
Well,
Pending.
everything's
Yeah,
pending
I
until
got
it's
you.
done, right?
yeah.
Right.
So until its deed is signed by Mr. Boswell, and it won't be done unless the zoning is approved.
There you go.
Then
All right, do you want to sum that up into a motion?
I can. I'd like to make a motion that we use opera funds to purchase the property, which include the building from Jack Boswell for animal shelter for the sum of $375,000. And in that same motion, I would like to authorize the administrator, Steve Bowen, to pay out $10,000 to the proposed architect with a balance due of $65,000, providing that Mr. Boswell is in agreement in a sales contract that the zoning takes place that would allow that to be a animal shelter facility.
Y'all happy with that motion?
I will second it.
All right. Any other discussion? I see your lips moving. You want to say
Talk to the
something.
bill.
And I'm getting clarification. Your 65 is the, you
It's the
can't,
balance.
is the other, right,
The balance will be due.
right, okay.
That's fine.
Now,
Okay, all right. All right. Y'all heard the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Let's roll.
All
Love
right,
it.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. Now,
Thank you, Ms. Stowe.
thank you, sir.
all right, the referendum for the 1 cent sales tax. Do we know what the state did with that?
Governor.
It's gone.
Gone. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. That's what I thought.
We've taken it off the agenda already.
Yeah.
Until next year,
Yeah,
next governor.
we should have took it off during.
I know, but I didn't.
No, it's fine.
I've
All right.
always had hope.
All right, the F 2025 tax rate and approval. As y'all remember in the board work session the other night, only for advertisement purposes, the tax rate could absolutely go down. It's just so we could get this ad out and be heard from the citizens. The consensus of the board at the time was to advertise a rate of 45 cents, down from 48. All right, so Mr. Bowen, from there, what you got?
Well, that, and not trying to relive the, relive the meeting, but anyway, this increase of the real estate revenue, this increase will produce $950,000 additional yearly revenue that is much needed, since we're starting out with a deficit of $3.522 million. Just say $5.5 million. And just so you know, that even with that rate, we will have to go into the general fund. I think I had written it in here. So anyway, it's close to, it's right at $1 million.
That's right.
That's right.
All right, board members, what's your pleasure on?
Mr. Chairman, point of clarification.
Yes, sir.
You indicated a rate reduction from 48 to,
45.
what happened to the reassessment amount that should reduce the tax to somewhere in the neighborhood of 35 cents?
What happened to the what now?
The 1 cent.
Property reassessment. Property reassessment should have a number, and I believe that number is close to 35 cents.
He's speaking about the equalization
No,
and the
30
reassessment.
37 and a half.
And if it's
37 and a
over,
half.
If it drops to 37 and a half, whatever that is, the increase would be from 37 and a half, not drop from 48 to what you just spoke.
unless, if it's 101, Mr. Abbott, percent, then we have to have a public hearing on it. Then we can actually raise it over the 48.
Well, I understand you can set the tax rate for wherever you want, I appreciate that. But I would at least appreciate that it start from whatever the base is supposed to be and not dropping it from a number.
I see what you're saying. I was told you can come down, but you cannot go up.
You can be 1.5% over what is currently being collected based on that reassessment amount.
Mr. Chairman, going with Mr. Abbott's point, we will advertise according to the Code of Virginia, Section 58.1, 3321, and that will make sure that if we advertise, that would be exactly what he's looking for. Okay. It's just the way, I'm asking for the motion of advertising per Code of Virginia, Section 58.1, 0.13321, and they tell you exactly how to advertise.
Okay.
So it's no misperceptions.
I see what you're saying, Mr. Abbott, though.
Right.
Thank you very much.
All right, so board members, we need a motion to advertise per the Code of Virginia, Section 58.1-3321.
To be 45 cents.
To be 45 cents per 100.
Anybody care to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Anybody care to second it?
I'll second that motion.
All right. Any more discussion? Anyway, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right.
We would have it advertised, sir.
Okay, all right. The animal shelter funds, I believe you already touched on that. Is that
Yes.
correct? The school funding, Mr. Bowen.
All right, school funds is in your packet. It's carryover money. I want to, and I see Dr. Grimes and Ms.
Meyer.
Ms. Myers here, and as well as Dr. Martin is here as well. I want to thank Dr. I want to thank really the finance director. I have to say, Heather came over there on a Friday evening, and so did Dr. Grimes come over there and gave me we had a lot of good discussions, and we were talking about this carryover money. And I want to give a statement of what I've learned. I don't think I did it justice at the work session, okay, about these carryover funds requested by Nottoway County Public School. And I'm hoping I'm going to say this right, and if they're here, they can correct me, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. It's a learning curve, but I do try to follow Proverbs 15:22, and I do seek advice, okay? So this requested amount is not left over or unspent money from the FY23 budget. This is money that the school board initiated the expense on towards the end of FY23, May or June, but the actual payment came after July 1st, therefore in fiscal year 2024. All these expenses have been paid in the FY24 budget. Therefore, the FY24 budget is ultimately showing $3 million higher than the original budget. This is a paperwork exercise that needs to be completed for audit purposes. It is the main reason that you saw your fund balance increase over $3 million at the end of FY23, because these expenses were not properly shown to the auditors during their audit of FY23. Ultimately, the auditors did not know that there was the $3 million outstanding for FY23, and they could only assume a smaller spend, which increased the fund balance because of underspending. In years past, the county would approve this carryover resolution either in June or July, showing these incurred obligations, and the audit would pick them up for purposes of the year-end audit. So why does this spend happen towards the end of the year? In simple terms, any unexpected funds at the end of the fiscal year by the school system are supposed to revert back to the county general fund. There is currently no mechanism in place that would give the schools the assurance that unspent funds that reverted back to the general fund would still be their money and available to them, so this causes them to spend down at the end of each year. While I'm sure some of this spend is needed, I think, this is Steve Bourne thinking, it is likely that some of it is spent without a real strategic vision. If an agreement were made between the county, that's us, and the schools on these funds, they would assure them that these year-end balances would in fact be available to them at a later date by the Board of Supervisors. It could allow a fund balance to be created and shown and grown. That would give them greater time to better think about the long-term needs of the school rather than trying to figure it out in the last month of the fiscal year. So it is clear that there is room for improvement in all these processes. We may be too late in the current fiscal 24 budget to make any of these changes, but it's something that we should take into our off-season to consider as we look at many different things to make improvements.
I say let's get an agreement in place with them.
Okay.
Let's talk about letting them.
Let's talk about capital improvement.
That's right.
Acquire those funds back by capital improvement.
And they need reassurance from this board, and I think we can form a better partnership with the school board and the school staff if we can look at that. But in the meantime, as this moment, the school, that is their money, that carryover from fiscal year 23, it's 2.922, it's $2,922,900.63. That carryover needs to be voted for, board, and so they can get that back in their account.
What is your amount at? All right, so board members, we gotta have a public hearing on that though, for that amount?
No.
Not to give it back to them, do you?
Not to give it back.
Check me, I don't know.
No, as I said before in previous years, the carryover, it's just a carryover resolution either in June and July. All I'm asking is a resolution to carry that money over. And if I'm wrong, Ms. Meyer, is that close?
Yeah, so every July was always part of your consent agenda. Ms. Kramer had it there as just carryover. It wasn't just
Bless
hours
you.
on that list, it was carryover from multiple departments. So it should say
Right.
everything was on.
All right, so you're looking for a resolution now, tonight?
Tonight, yes. I'm talking about FY '23, Mr. Chairman Roy, we're talking about FY '23 to this is not the upcoming year. We haven't even got there yet. And that's why it's showing this, Mr. Toth, when you said it was, do we have $20 million? We didn't have $20 million.
Thank you for that clarification. I didn't think so. I didn't think we had close to it, and we don't.
And this is the carryover from FY '23 to FY '24.
That's one part of it, and then maybe we can still, I'm just asking that we can maybe have another meeting with the school board and see how we can assist each other and assist them to tackle some of these capital improvements they need.
You mean like a joint meeting? Is that what you're talking about?
Sometime
a joint meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so board members, we need a motion to draft a resolution to allow the carryover from FY '23 to FY '24 in the amount of $2,922,900.63.
I so move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
I was looking for the smiles out there. There they are. There they are. Okay, the delinquent tax advertisement.
What section is that in?
Okay, all right. I'm looking to say, well, who's supposed to do that? I think this came.
Get you some water, man.
Yeah, get some water. So this came up, delinquent tax advertisement came up because we're looking at a collection, and I'm asking the board, how do you feel? Do you want to bring that, do the delinquent tax and get people to pay their taxes? Does it improve the amount of collection?
It was my understanding, I may be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. It's my understanding it's the treasurer's job to advertise the delinquent taxes, not this board.
You mean if she desires to do so?
Correct. We don't have an option to do that.
You might be correct. All I know is when they quit advertising, it went from 98% or 97.6%, just going by memory, down to about 92%.
Right.
No, it's not 92.
Yeah, but
It was a great reduction, though. It mounted up to several $100,000. But I mean, if it's not up to this board, then it sounds like to me we ain't got nothing to do with it.
Well, see, that was my understanding. I remember the editor of the paper came and harangued us last year about not advertising, but we don't have a responsibility to advertise.
What would you define, Mr. Chairman, as the treasurer's job? And that'll tell me whether it's our duty to do it or not. To collect the taxes.
To collect the taxes, and that would include any advertisements or using the resources to collect those taxes.
And the taxes are owed to the county of Nottoway, and the Nottoway County Board of Supervisors are supposed to look out for the best interest of the county. So that could go about either way almost, couldn't it?
And in past, we've just because we did something in the past don't mean it's right.
Right.
And I get you. In past, we've already, I guess we've been the ones who have voted for that, and that's why.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
There's two different numbers that are percentages. 91% is on the current, and then there was another 5% of delinquent. So you'd see a 91, and then you saw a 96. That 96 was not current. That was picking up delinquent from before. So this past December, Nottoway County only got about 91.5%, 91.6% of our taxes.
That's what I thought the numbers were.
So how, you know,
I was
when you
thinking
look
right at 92%.
When you look at a budget, and you
If
say
we-
you're gonna collect this amount of money, and so you plan to spend that amount of money, and this is where some of that deficit comes from.
Right.
Folks need to pay the taxes.
If we want to, or, Mr. Chairman, we move to the next item while Ms. Norton she's gonna find out the legality, whether it would be up to us, I think, or up to the treasurer.
What is that, a dictionary you got, a code book?
Highlighted. She got
a book, her blue book.
That every one of y'all have, and you need to look at it.
Well, you ain't looked at it either. You looking at it now.
Yeah, I'm looking.
I mean, gee.
I looked at it the other day, Daphne.
If you look at that, why we move to something else and you find out whether or not we can.
If you looked at it and know it, spit it out.
I don't. That's why I'm looking. That's why I carry it with me.
All right, the consent agenda.
We ain't set no tax rate yet, Mr. Abbott.
But you do set the tax rate, sir.
Oh, yes, I thought you said you said it as in past tense.
You do set.
Yes, we do.
So when you set the tax rate, you have some obligation when it comes to collecting those funds.
I would have thought the same thing. But I don't get paid for my thoughts.
Said,
so
I may
don't
be
know.
wrong. Somebody told me that.
Yeah.
All right, how about this? How about, does someone want to entertain a motion to advertise the delinquent taxes for the county of Nottoway? And,
And we will, and you can, and give me, and I'll get direction to make sure we clarify.
She may have to go along with us on it.
That's right.
That'd be the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
That she'd have to go along with us, and that would be her discretion. And then if she didn't, then we may have to have a public hearing, since we're looking out for the interest of the, sir? You can speak. Go ahead.
Does she have it in her budget?
That's a good question.
That's a really good question.
Because we removed it.
In the 10 years I've been coming to these meetings, this board does it.
Let's look in her thing now. Do you see it in there?
I can't remember. Somebody told me that. I can't remember who.
Just her revenues.
Oh, you don't see
We
her
don't have our
expenses?
budget.
But we have budget in the Nottoway County, in the
got-
administration, we got.
I mean,
money
I'm
for
all for advertising them. Somebody told me we didn't have the power to do it.
Well, I am too. I mean, I hate to do that.
Well, you got to.
I hate to, but if it went to 92% from about 97, I think it's an embarrassment to some people. But I will say this, some people that can't afford them, it's a bit of embarrassment because they simply can't pay them and now their name is,
Right.
I'd like to find out whether my name was gonna be in there or not, and then I would tell you how I thought. No, I'm just joking.
I think the advertisement before was
All
somewhere
right,
in the neighborhood.
Can I interject? Page 153 on our code book. The treasurer and/or the Board of Supervisors may order the list of delinquent real estate taxes and uncollected tangible person, property, machine and tools, merchant capital, and local taxes to be published in a newspaper having general circulation in the county on the county's website. The treasurer is not personally liable for taxes reported delinquent within the time and the manner prescribed by law. So it gives the discretion to
It's
either
and/or, right? Okay.
And says that neither of us are responsible for it, or the treasurer's not responsible.
Right.
So we can make that motion.
well, are we gonna make that motion without knowing the rate? You gonna advertise in one newspaper or two?
It's still delinquent, oh, you mean the advertisement rate?
Yeah. I mean, it could be $20,000 to do it. Are we gonna
Do
do
we
that?
not remember what it was from the previous year? roughly?
I'm going by memory, I was told, I'm going by memory, it's like $13,000. And so what we have to figure out is, going by some people's, some people are asking, do we have enough in the budget? Well, we need to figure out, that'd probably be my job, where I can find it in the budget and how to work that in. If we're delinquent $200,000, I better find $13,000 somewhere. What do you think?
Amen, brother.
Okay.
I agree with that. And the second thing is to be fair to both of the newspapers, you said either or newspaper. Could we put the real estate in one and the personal property tax in the other?
Oh, wait a minute, can we put it on our website?
Well, you better put it in the paper, because if you don't, you're gonna have a problem with people that don't have access to computers for them to be able to see it. I'm sure they're getting sent a notice that they hadn't paid, but you know how that is.
All right, do we want to put this on the unfinished business so we can get prices before we commit to something like that?
I also think in fairness to the treasurer, we need to have her present so she can resolve any questions.
Okay.
Do we have to request her presence to be to one of our meetings?
Just
Or does
let
she
her
just
know
on the
she
agenda?
needs to be here.
Well, Steve, finance is meeting, what, in 2 weeks?
Yes.
That's a good time. We can talk to her then.
Before the next board
Yeah,
meeting.
we can talk to
So
her
we'll
then.
put this on the unfinished business and address the advertisement then once we get quotes from the
Yes.
two papers.
And maybe we put that on the bidding process too, right?
Yep.
Chairman, I'll throw another twist to it. It says that the Board of Supervisors has options for collection. The board may assign the responsibility to collect such delinquent taxes to the treasurer, or in turn, if delinquent for more than 6 months, over to the sheriff or a delinquent tax collector or an attorney.
Well,
We'll
that's
send that list over
that's
to
a
you in the
sale
morning,
that you
Sharon.
saw in the paper this
Yeah.
past week.
And
That's
that's what
Elliot
she-
doing that.
We haven't done that in quite a while, so she started doing that.
Well, you gotta wait a certain period of time before
Has
you
to
can
be
force
Right,
sale
right.
from the trust.
Anyway,
So, Mr. Chairman, and board members, so what people, what I remember, hearing from the citizens, they get disgusted. It is in their brain, and I get it. Steve, don't take money out the general fund to pay for the advertisement for people who are not paying their taxes. Make them pay for the advertisement. You hear what I just said?
I do.
That's
Well, that
Aren't
would
they
be
getting a
part,
penalty anyway?
that would be
Right.
part of the.
They getting a
They get
penalty.
penalty.
That would be
What,
part.
10%?
That 10% APY and 10% automatically on the date it is due if it's not paid. So they're paying that.
That's right.
and they are paying that because that's when debt set-off collection
Right. Well, see,
happens.
that's it.
They
If
send
you're
out a
talking
letter.
about 200,000, 10% of that's gonna be 20,000. That'll pay for the advertising.
Well, it'd be 10,000 initially, but the other 10,000 comes by APY depending upon how long it.
Right, right.
If they pay it one day late, they won't pay very much of the second 10,000. But if they go another year or even 2 years, then they're at 30,000.
All right, but what about this, Blackstone was using a company to collect some debts.
The county is also on our landfill fees.
Yes, we discussed that.
tax.
We passed that, yeah.
Yeah, and she's doing something too with personal property, with the DMV
Yes, DMV
stops,
stops.
DVN stops, she's doing
She's
that.
increased the fee for that as well.
I would
Right.
not like to see the county, and it may not even be optional, but I would not like to see the county turn over its tax collections on real estate and personal property to a collection agency for them to charge them
costly.
20, 30%. I need to open that company.
Okay.
I'm with you.
This board need to open it to give the money back to the
I
county.
agree with you.
If we do that.
We don't need collection.
Well, we've got a treasurer, and their job is to collect taxes.
Right.
So let's help
right.
her do that.
And we'll
Job
give her the
is also
resources to do
to
so.
Invest our
And
money.
the code gives us, gives us the options we need if
Want me
it
to-
gets too delinquent.
Mention this biannual now or wait?
Yeah.
Being that we talking about taxes,
I'll go down here.
Okay.
you want to wait or go?
Oh,
Since we're talking on
oh yeah,
taxes.
I was just, she asked me, and I'll leave it to Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
With that.
she'd like to
Would you
speak
want
on
us to
about
talk
taxes.
about the biannual that we've been discussing at Finance Committee? Since we're talking about this now, Finance Committee is reviewing and making hard decisions to recommend to the board, and we've shared a lot of positive energy. We've met with all the departments. We've learned a lot about their day-to-day operation, the month-to-month operation, but our quest forward is to resolve to make recommendations to bring back to the board. To the fiscal position, it should be so our citizens will obtain services needed in order to remain confident that Nottoway is indeed a safe home to work and raise families and retire. And to that end, we have been researching options to ease financial burdens, and one of those, moving to a desired biannual, twice-a-year real estate billing, not personal property, but real estate billing. This was addressed briefly in 2020 and didn't move forward, so we brought it to the table again. And the treasurer, Commissioner of Revenue, and our finance team have had in-depth discussions. And keep in mind, it's a work in progress to help all, not hinder, but we are looking forward to moving to having twice a year real estate billing.
Yeah, and to your point, I know COVID was getting in there when all of this came up in 2020, and I believe Dinwiddie was doing it twice a year.
Dinwiddie County's been doing it twice a year for years.
Yeah.
Here's my problem with doing it twice a year. Think about if you have an annual income such as tobacco, soybean, corn, which was found that Nottoway was upon, or perhaps livestock that you sell your calves once a year, and those people are the largest landowners in the county. as well as timber companies who may not harvest their timber but once every 10 or 12 years, or perhaps a person that borrows their money on a line of credit, and when they draw off that money, the line of credit to pay their taxes, they immediately start paying interest on it. I see the need for it, but I also see the need not to do it. And not to mention that it's going to cost some more accounting funds to have to go into collecting them. Right now, the way it stands, it's a volunteer system. Early, you can pay them. You can pay them way early if you like. It's not a requirement. I bet many people don't. I, for one, stand in line when it's due. I try to make sure they're all paid, and I stand in line on the day that it's due by, because that's the way my cash flow works.
Appreciate that comment, and
Thank you,
also
ma'am.
keep in mind, it is a work in progress.
Oh, absolutely, I heard you.
We're looking at it to even out our revenue collection, so we don't have that big bulk
I understand.
in the middle to kind of even it out. And two, because of the reevaluations, reassessments, and the fact that it's going to go up, it will help the citizens probably be able to afford to break it up into 2 payments.
Could it be voluntarily? They know how much they owe, and if they want to pay it, then they pay the first half. I'm just open discussion. First half, May or June. The second thing I didn't add to it is, if we start paying biannually, and I just kind of thought about this, in essence, we're paying the county 6 months early because it won't due till December. Now we got to pay half of it May or June, so we're paying half of it 6 months early.
And this wouldn't start till 2025, 2026. We have to average.
But I mean, when it did, we would be right. We would be paying it, if I'm thinking correctly, Mr. Collins, you the banker. Mr. Dick Ingram?
Yes.
You'd be paying them 6 months early. So for 6 months, they'd be using our money that in the current laws is not due yet.
The way we had looked at it, we're going to start in December when the first one was initially due, then the next one is June.
We're trying to get
But the next one normally wouldn't be due to December again.
Yeah, we're trying to get some input from other counties that are already doing this.
Yes.
To ask them how they do it and what's the best way to do it. We were talking about what date could you, like you're saying, what date can you take the money in, the first payment? Would you take it in June? But see, our fiscal year ends June 30th. So
Right.
would you be taking money in June for the next fiscal year? So we're going to find out from some of the other counties how they do it. I've had citizens ask me, please, let's do 2.
Because it would help some of them. Therefore, that would be voluntarily on their part.
Well, they could do that anyway.
That's what I say. But
She's
they ain't
got-
gonna do it.
That's right.
Not necessarily.
Majority is not.
Mortgage companies hold escrows, and
That
so
was brought up.
They're doing it monthly, right?
the payment goes to the bank monthly. And the bank pays the taxes when the bill arrives.
That's correct.
So people don't have they're required to have escrows at least for the first 12 months of their mortgage. So they don't have a choice to come in and pay.
Out of curiosity, does the bank pay any interest to the money held in escrow if they're gonna hold it for that amount of months until it's due?
I'm not in the escrow department.
Oh, I was just curious. I don't know.
You know, one thing
Another thing, Mr. Chairman, too, that I might point out is if they're paying it biannually versus annually, and they're renting farmland, and they would have to change too to help the landlord. They only collect the rent at the end of the year to pay the real estate taxes. So then they're going to have to start. In fact, I used to rent a farm for many years and didn't really that the rent was due twice a year for that very purpose.
Right.
Well, in the middle of June, very few farmers got any income since wheat went down when you used to harvest wheat in June. And I'm just a small grain farmer.
And that's something we can take back
Cattle is my
to the
primary.
committee.
Right.
I don't know if the rules would allow us to split it up, say we could leave out farmers or something like that. But we're just looking at ways to even out our revenue stream and to help the citizens it be more palatable with the increase that's coming.
I see the mindset of it.
Yeah, and
Like I
I think
said,
at some
work in
point, you got a 6 month wait or hold it one way or the other with that. And who's gonna wait and who's gonna hold, or do you pay ahead?
Do you give them an incentive to pay it early?
There you go.
I mean, to pay it first 6 months?
Yeah. The other thing, the one thing that we did find in that back in 2020 was that if you're doing this, may have an economic impact where it would stimulate more spending in December.
Stimulate more spending in December?
Yeah, for like the holidays and stuff locally. So it could help with the retail sales tax and stuff like that because they may have a little bit more money to spend right after.
Versus paying real estate or personal property tax.
Yeah.
And we are talking with Commissioner Revenue and the Treasurer, and they're looking at the logistics, the paperwork, and see, they mentioned that they would put a payment tab, 2 of them, in the envelope when they mail it out that's due in December. So they'll have that tab already to say, hey, it's due in June, and then send a reminder instead of a new bill. So
Okay.
that wouldn't cost
I would like to
as
see
much.
included in that discussion, the county can't afford hardly anything right now, but what type of incentive could be added if it were put on a voluntary basis?
That's good. I think where y'all are headed, going to talk to these other counties is probably the way to go and just get you there quicker.
But do remember, if the blind lead the blind, they both fall in the hole.
There you go.
To say.
There's one other item, since we're talking about assessments and taxes. I think all of this board has discussed going to 4 years on a reassessment.
Yes.
Just so the citizens are aware about that.
6 is too long.
That 6 is too long. It created some of the problems that we have this year. So we're considering a 4-year reassessment.
It'll be some additional costs come with that, because it costs to have it reassessed, but it won't be such a shell shock as to the percentage of growth to it.
That's right. That's right. And I think we're planning on getting that done in the second part of this year. So.
And the majority of folks at VACO, we talked about that too, most of them do 4 years.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, as long as you can go at 6, is that correct?
As long as you can is 6.
6, that's what I
And it's
thought.
always been 6 because of the expense. It's about $250,000 to do the reassessment.
Is that right?
You just start
But you
budgeting
gain
for it,
that
put a
back
little
in
bit
the
into
increase
it.
in the value probably.
Well,
And it's fairness too, because the value may decrease as well.
Well, you take 1%, and all you did was pay for an assessment.
Right. But the value can decrease, so that certain properties should decrease.
That's right. All right. Well, guys, if y'all are done with that, we can look at the consent items now for approval. If y'all have had an opportunity to look at all the expenditures and adjustments that are in your budget, in your packet, if anybody has any questions, now would be the time to look for clarification. If not, I would need a motion to approve the consent items.
I so move.
Can we get a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Your correspondence items are in there. Was there any topic of discussion for any of that y'all had on any of the correspondence or informational items?
Board of Equalization meetings. I did have a citizen call me and was concerned because she doesn't read the paper, and she almost missed out. Luckily, she had one day to set her appointment. But I do want to reiterate, I did talk to Christy, and these appointments were advertised on the website as well as the newspaper, so I don't know what else we can do other than radio or something, but that's costly. Just remind the citizens that they need to read and look at our website. And there is an opportunity, according to these dates, they will assign an additional date if needed. So if some of the folks did miss out on it, I'm sure that they would be able to get a hearing date.
All right. And Steve, I know you and I had a conversation about some citizens were concerned about not receiving their reassessments, and I think we were going to follow up with Christy to see if there was anything that was missed when they were getting these reassessments out.
I didn't get mine for 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Everybody on my road.
It went to Richmond, that's what happened.
Yeah, I know, and it bounced around as to one. I know Roger Reynolds didn't get his. I know Ms. Brunell didn't get hers. I know Walter McOsmond didn't get his. So it's pretty well stretched over the county. We need to just want to follow up and make sure that they were following up with that to make sure we could.
Going back, with kind of piggybacking on what Mr. Norton said and what you were saying too. I talked to Ms. Tucker this evening a little bit about these. We'll probably, I think the 2 meetings, and I want to thank, I think it was the Crew Fire Department for letting them have it at the firehouse. I think it's Tuesday and Wednesday, so kudos to them. We appreciate that. What we probably gonna have to do is we're gonna go through these 2 days, and then if we have to set another date, we'll set another date. So I was gonna stop by there and let the Board of Equalization know that we may have to do another date, you know, and get Christie involved because of mail and whatever is happening out there.
Right.
So, anyway, and we'll work with, but I don't think it's a showstopper for our budget. You know, because we just kind of keep moving forward, or what, you know, it's all estimation anyway. But anyway.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
But it could affect the budget numbers. You know how they have
that's
revenue
right.
and that kind of
That's
thing.
right. Just want to make sure that those folks know that we have dabbled into that to try to figure out what the deal was, why there were so many that did not get their reassessments. Okay, County Administrator report. Mr.
Just
Bowman.
real quick, Sheriff, is we got this. We got a Sally Port. It's really and it's still in the rough stages. A Sally Port over behind the General District Court that the judge had asked us to do. We had some got some places that the sheriff said somebody can climb under that, so we got to figure out how to fix that. And we still need some more slats around. I'm planning to get a screen that you still can see the person, and they can be, the person who's maybe coming in court can see the judge if they're getting out of the vehicle. I still got to put another skirting around that thing somehow. The one that I didn't do the two projects together with the Sally Port on the circuit court because I wasn't sure, and I mentioned y'all about it's a tunnel underneath there, and I was concerned about the weight and cars. And the other thing is, and Sheriff helped me out on that one tremendously. You know, the question came up: can you put it beside the historical building? Well, I guess I can't touch the building. We'll figure we put the pole as closest to the building we can. But what's contradictory to that is I got to put a handicap ramp somewhere around now, and that's going to touch the building. I mean, they didn't. And this is, I'm just dealing with historical landmark. But anyway, they didn't build old buildings for handicapped people. I just got to say it. I mean, anyway, it's terrible. But anyway, so that's something that, and I'm trying to work that in with our budget next fiscal year and the end of this one. But going back to what we all been talking about, I don't want to do too much elaborate spending until we know what we got and what we're doing here. But anyway, but I still know we need to get work needs to be done. I didn't get a chance to thank him. I should have in public. Shane has been helping me with a lot of projects around here when I didn't have a maintenance lead tech, and so he's been helping me tremendously with these projects as well, and we will keep moving on with that. I want to go get, also, I mentioned the word kudos. I want to give kudos to Phil Miskovic, the town manager and crew. We did have a real interesting conversation with a data center developer. He got Southside Electric involved, you know, myself, the county, and anyway, we asked a lot of questions. So they do want to have a site visit out there at Pickett. I keep saying that, Fort Barfoot. Thank you, Fort Barfoot. They're looking at something around about 200 some acres, and the question came up, and Mr. Phil Miskovic, he said, and I was going to ask the question, but he got there. He said, "Well, how much water are we talking about?" And the guy said about 25 to 30,000 gallons a day. But he said we're going to need some kind of water tank in case we can't, if the pump breaks down, what we've got to do. So, so the usage of water has changed. I've been hearing those big numbers.
Well, it depends on the footprint of the building and then what the equipment is in there. So it's a various, all of those numbers are probably correct.
Right.
This particular one.
Right, I got you.
That's very manageable.
We talked about it the other day, and like you say, the footprint, but the water usage is dramatically lower than what the electricity usage is. That's the question now, is the electric usage.
The other thing is, we've been working on it. We have a contract. Got a contract with a company called ABM. That's at Energy Performance. Chairman Rourke and Vice Chair Collins been helping me have meetings with those folks. I'm getting legal advice now I need to go through each part of the project of what they've done and what's acceptable and not acceptable. And that project it was close to over $1 million, and it's not in the budget. It's not in the budget. And so anyway, I'm trying to figure out if we could negotiate. I'm asking for mediation about, you know, stop the project. And we're trying to figure out, you know, what type of what kind of savings I can get out of that and negotiate with the company. But so that's been back and forth. I feel like I win a battle, then I lose a battle. So anyway, next week, and I asked the board not to comment because that's part of the agreement, but I will be taking a look at the bowling alley, and I have had some contacts of someone who's very, very much interested in renting that bowling alley. I like to try to keep, and I need to ask that question. I'm pretty sure I know the answer. If we just rent, I've already asked the question to the lawyer just to make sure I'm right. If I'm just asking for a renter, I don't have to do any type of RFP.
I thought you said you didn't want us to comment on it.
No, I'm talking about new. I'm talking about future. Oh yeah, future, not
old,
past.
not current, not old.
Sorry about
My
that.
goal was to sell it.
I thought we were going to try to sell it. Can we rent with the option
That's what
to
I was
buy?
hoping, but now it sounds like we're talking about future.
Well, y'all got a memo. The banks wouldn't finance without financial numbers.
I mean, to give them a figure that we'd sell it
History,
for?
yeah.
You gotta have history.
Correct, yeah.
You talking about repayment history? Or you talking about rental income history?
Earnings.
Rental income.
Earnings.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I'm we'll talk about that in the LRA, sooner or later, but I just want to tell you that it's just,
Okay.
we got to figure out what's going on.
In the making.
All right. And, that's about right. I think we're dealing with the budget. I appreciate you guys having patience with that, and I appreciate all the people who's helped me. I wish I could name names, but I do have, and we have a finance consultant has helped. The whole office staff has come in. You see Ms. Kelly has been working diligently and putting in numbers. I have reached out to every county administrator, this touching Nottoway County, VACO, VML, VACO Finance. I asked advice from Sonny Abbott. Wow, so, but and that's been free so far. But anyway, I'm just very thankful that I've had people that has gave me some good advice. Hey, take a look at this. I talked to Mr. Ronnie Rourke. I've talked to John Prosise. I had a conversation with Katie Tomer. So I'll just tell you, I'm reaching out to whoever I can to make sure I give y'all the right numbers, and so you can make the right decisions. And it's just like we said the other night, it's easy to balance a budget, but it's hard to balance a budget with true numbers. That's where it gets really tricky. And so, anyway, but I thank you for your patience on that. And then that's it. And I thank all the staff and everybody's been who's been helping. I mean, everybody's been coming to the plate, and I really appreciate it. But anyway, we're not there yet. So, but we're heading in the right direction. I thank the finance committee too. I know they have to get up there every week and sometimes every other week, but we're working towards the progress. So I thank you.
Do we need to have a discussion or a vote about the funding for fireworks?
Yes, sir. That'd be fine. We had it in our work session. I was trying to figure out a way to, just like what Mr. Everett just spoke of. I know what was budgeted, and I mentioned about we had $2,000 that we give to each town, and could we utilize that funds? And I think the board had an idea, and we passed it on, is to give $2,000 of the funds from Blackstone to the chamber, and $2,000 crew to chamber. Since the fireworks, one it's two different events, we understand. One event is in Crew, and the other event's in Blackstone, and then Burford would just get their $2,000. But I understand now that there are some concerns and some questions.
That was affecting some budgets. There were some plans. And so we'd really need to consider an additional $2 for each fireworks show. And this would be seed money. This is startup money. This is not an annual commitment. This is the first time that the crew's going to have a show. And just want to be upfront with the Blackstone Chamber of Commerce that we don't want to set a precedent.
Can we clarify that although Burkeville's not doing the fireworks, they still will get their annual?
They're getting their annual too.
Yes.
So everybody's getting their annual too.
Not leaving them out.
And then each fireworks show would get $2.
I got you.
$2.
And the premise is that this is going to bring people into town. They're going to come in and eat. They're going to come and go get some gas. I imagine the convenience stands there at the activity center will be open. hopefully they'll sell and make some money. So it's got some economic impact and gives people something to look forward to.
And the one in Crew is actually, thus far, historical, you know, because it's the first time anybody can recall ever seeing one there. So, and as y'all remember, they advertising this is the first annual.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said, seed money, get it up and going. And but just to clarify,
They left. We got so long.
But just to
they
clarify,
took off.
if there is an additional shortfall, my offer still stands for the remainder of my salary to offset any cost.
So to clarify the
event.
numbers, each one is gonna get their 2. In addition,
The normal two
Burkeville
recreation.
Blackstone's gonna get their appropriated $2,000 each. And then the Blackstone Fireworks is gonna get $2,000. And the first annual Crew Fireworks is gonna get $2,000.
Correct.
But it's one
One entity.
Well, you can give, it's Blackstone Chamber is setting up both shows.
Right, so you can give them 4,000.
You can give Blackstone Chamber 4,000.
That's what you wanna call it. Let them use it
make
the
a
way they want
statement
to.
too on each.
Because they're not requested any money for the Blackstone, correct?
They're still shortfall. I mean, they didn't have,
But now they will only be short $1,000 because they requested 5 total to do the Crew one. They didn't request any to do the Blackstone one. They said they was gonna raise their funds, so they only $1,000 short.
That's
If I
true.
understood it correctly.
That's the way I remember it, but.
Yeah,
Because we don't contribute any, I wish they were still here to answer that.
yeah.
We don't contribute any to their fireworks in Blackstone per their request that I heard. The other night when
we brought that up in discussion that we'll give 2 to, trying to be fair.
Right,
So I think our intent is still to be fair,
right.
2 and 2.
Yeah, but I guess what he's saying too, if Blackstone don't need it, then the chamber will apply to the first annual one.
Exactly. Then they'd have their 4, they wouldn't be short but 1,000.
Yeah.
And we can raise that between the board to give it to them.
All right, I'll figure it out. That's all,
So do we have to vote or we?
Is that all yours, Steve?
that's all my report.
I have a
Do we have to
question.
vote to give them the funds
No.
that we've always
We
done?
don't?
No.
Okay.
It's a small.
No, I don't think so. I got, what I'll do is I'll find it somewhere in the budget, and then I'll make sure that it's written in the next package.
Yeah, because
So be transparency, so everybody can see it.
Yeah, if we need a formal vote for any of the additional funds, we can do it in the June meeting because that's still before the 10-day deadline.
Okay, so I'll put it in the agenda for that, and
For the
I'll have a solution.
Yep, just
Okay.
put it on unfinished
Okay.
business. If it's taken care of, we'll just move on.
All right, I'm thinking.
Mr. Bowen, I need to ask you a question before you end your report. We had talked about it, and Dickie may recall from our meeting the other night, that you may send out a countywide email to revisit the department request from our recent reviews that we need only mandated need-based funding, that it's imperative that the county remain strictly conservative in spending. I mean, we had positive meetings, we learned a lot as we sat down with all these agency departments, but we need to let them know that they're gonna have to revisit their request.
Right, and what I'm gonna have to do is try to, I got a staff meeting tomorrow morning at 10:30. So what I'm gonna try to do is see if we can sort of make it easy for the finance committee to see, to develop a spreadsheet, who requested what and what was the purpose. And so you can make a reasonable decision. So for the next finance meeting, so, okay. But yes, ma'am,
Thank you,
I
sir.
got you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Ms. Bowen? All right. We do not have any closed meetings, so going to the comments for the members of the board, Mr. Collins.
Very important, public hearing, May 30th. This is going to be on the tax rate. So I'd like this room full. I'd like everybody, all the citizens here, I want to talk to everybody. So at 7 p.m., it'll be here, May 30th. And another important meeting, it's going to be, I would presume the 11th of June and the 20th of June. And that's, should be where we finish up solar finally. I want citizen participation, that's what I'm asking for.
You want to hear before, not after, right?
I want to hear it before.
That's right.
When I vote, then I want to know I voted right.
All right. Mr. Ingram.
I agree with Mr. Collins. Being on the budget committee and having conversations, I've seen what we need. It's going to take some doing, It's gonna take some time. It's not gonna happen overnight. And I want the citizens to realize that we're doing the best we can, and we're trying to get there, and we will get there, but it's just gonna take some time, and they need to bear with us.
All right. Ms. Norton?
Couple of things to mention. Buddy, I want to commend you and your team for making such positive strides. We've got a lot happening with emergency services to keep us safe. And I have to reiterate what he said about the meeting on Tuesday night, that I hear that Virginia Beach is going to model Nottoway County in that drug program. That's huge. Virginia Beach is the biggest the biggest EMS in the whole state, and they're going to model it after Nottoway, and that's a first. So thank Nottoway Emergency Services, Brandon, Buddy. Also, I'll be attending, and any of y'all that can, the Habitat for Humanity ribbon cutting. They're going to have 2 new homes opening on Saturday at 10 o'clock.
This coming Saturday?
Yes, it's supposed to rain, and along that line too, John knows they have canceled crew homecoming because of the weather. But
They called the
all
rain
of us
again.
have been invited to that. I spoke with Mr. Dove, real excited to see him. I've worked with him for a long time. And again, reiterate what Dickie said, and we're working hard with the Finance Committee, the whole board, to try to make this as painless as possible. But we've inherited a lot, and we're moving forward. We're going to fix it. Just give us some time.
Mr. Toth?
On that data center that you talked about,
Yeah.
in the 20 or 30,000 gallons of water, can leachate water be used for?
You think that stuff could cool down just like anything else?
Yeah, hey, that'll create some energy itself.
Right.
It'd be nice.
I would say I agree with Mr. Collins. You know, I would really love to have the public's input. You know, I won't talk in out of my ways, but on the biannual collection of taxes, we need to look at it and see what's best for the citizens. Not what's best for the citizens, ultimately, it really is best for the county.
That's right.
And I get aggravated sometimes with the things that we're faced with these numbers, because I'm not going to say it was laid in our lap, although it somewhat was. But we will get through it. It's going to take some doing. The last thing I want to do is increase taxes. But the fact of the matter is, it's a must do. It's just how much we can get by with, or how much we can get, a little bit, but we can get by with. I would like to say that I still feel like I'm the best person in my district to be sitting in this seat, because I've been on top of the ladder, and I've been at the bottom of the ladder, and I've been in the middle. So I can relate to the people who has plenty of money, and reason for is not spending a whole lot, as to the man also that doesn't have much at all, and he's barely getting by, and he's on a fixed income. So we'll get through it, and we appreciate everybody's cooperation, and I really will always support phone calls, questions, suggestions, and anything that I may be able to do from this seat right here. And I appreciate my fellow board members too, each and every one of y'all.
All right. Good deal. And board members,
and the administrator too, by the way.
No, thank you. Thank you. How are we?
What do you say?
Hold for applause.
Sweet. Yeah.
All right, but yes, good points all y'all make tonight, but that's the whole point. All of y'all make good points, not just part of the time, but all of the time. This team is solid. This team is going to move forward. This team is going to get these issues taken care of. We're going to do it together with constructive criticism, whether it be good or bad. It's clear everybody has the same vision. That's to move forward, to be proactive, tackle what we can, address what's coming that we don't see that's going to blindside us, and just what, less than 5 months here. I mean, there's a lot that has been done. There's a lot that's been rolled over, and staff has to be commended. Yeah. I mean, staff it's just been wonderful. I love the fact that you're reaching out, building a structure. You know, when anybody, I mean, when you walked into this job saying, you know, revenue was going to be one of your hurdles, and I mean, the fact that you're doing everything you need to do to get us the information so we can make informed decisions with the staff that you got behind you, it's just phenomenal. So hats off to all the staff, all you guys, Buddy, all y'all. And as I told you Tuesday night again, you know, about Nottoway was ready to stand by for the missing soldier. You know, the sheriff, everybody was, you know, ready to go pounce whatever we needed, whatever they needed. So it's good to be good neighbors. And I would just suggest that, you know, you can always be kind, be willing to forgive, and come together and just be supportive. And the last thing I want to mention is, I know y'all seen the Northern Lights. Y'all see them? That was wonderful.
Yes.
I'll show you some beautiful pictures that I took from my yard. But don't forget, we have the Southern Lights here. That's all the Dollar Generals that dot the county.
They all night west too.
That's right. That's right. All right. So right now, board members, and that was, I mean, I saw that on Facebook.
Right.
Did you? You didn't make that up?
I did not make that up. I am not taking credit for that.
I'll laugh on the way home.
Board members, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor signify by standing up.